Hey, look at this.
Okay, that works.
All right, we figured it out, I think.
Yes.
All right. We got a couple uh, technical difficulty hangups for anybody who has been playing Instagram live tag with the accounts for the last few minutes. We are finally connected, so give it a couple minutes and see if everybody bounces over. Um, I'm not used to be
Hopefully,
on the bottom square.
hopefully it's worth it for everyone.
Yes, of course. And the picture looks good on my end, so I'm happy
Okay.
about that. Uh, so we can get this going finally. I'm bummed
All
that your
right.
account's not working though, because like I feel like you probably caught some extra followers from your stream the other night. You probably uh, have those people bounce on over, but oh well. That's how
Well,
it goes.
I've been promoting your link on various sites and
Oh,
group boards for Nerdicide, so they should be looking for Nerdicide and jumping on. So,
perfect, perfect. Lovely comment. Um, So yeah, let's get this going.
all right.
Everybody doesn't know, this is technically Nerdicide you're watching, and that's not Courtney. Um, we are doing a very special interview today. Um, so go ahead and just introduce yourself and let everybody know who you are, where you're from, and maybe what you do for a living, your address, and your social security number.
Let's see. Let's just start with the important stuff. So the social security number is. Um, hello everyone. I am Eric Jaskolka, and I'm an X-Men fanatic. And as it's been promoted, I do have a Guinness World Record for the largest X-Men collection. And you see some of it behind me here, and we'll give a tour, a little bit of all the other craziness that exists here in the house.
Yes. Um, I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna start asking you questions. Like this is a job interview, so I hope you're mentally prepared as we
I
pick your
haven't had a
brain.
job interview for a long time, so I hope I can pass the test.
um, because I not only is this informative for other people, but like also for me because you and I started chatting. I don't know, like a month ago, back and forth on Instagram, just about collecting in general, and then you decided to ruin my life by sending me about 40 different things that I didn't know existed that were Cyclops only, and now my life is ruined because I have collector's anxiety about these items and I
Well,
need to
well,
find them.
let me just start it off by showing you this.
Okay, what am I looking at here? Whose autograph is that?
So, Stephen Butler is the artist, but it is
Okay.
signed by the director and writers of X-Men: The Animated Series.
Oh wow, that's a heavy item right there. That's
Yeah,
pretty
and
impressive.
considering it's Cyclops, I figured, you get a kick out of this.
I do. Yeah, feel free to put it up on eBay and I'll send you a best offer.
Okay, that's fair.
And then you can deny my lowball offer, which is how eBay usually goes. Um, that's really cool. Yeah, like I said, I now have about 14 new daily searches that I do, hoping certain things will pop a few of them, but and that's all your fault.
Well,
Because I
I
thought
thank
I,
you.
I thought I was pretty good.
Well, I thank you for finding that McDonald's French Cyclops. So now I have to search for that.
Yeah, that was an interesting item. I only found that because the seller had misspelled Cyclops, which is a search I do for Cyclops. When people they misspell the word, he didn't even write X-Men in it. It just said McDonald's or Happy Meal or something, then said Cyclope, and I was like, I do a search for Cyclope often, so and no one bid
Yep.
on it.
Well, a lot of I believe it's down in South America and even in Europe and some in some European countries, they drop the S, so it's just Cyclope.
Yeah.
And a lot when you talk about misspelling, if I'm looking for something rogue, they'll spell it rouge. So
Yes. Yeah.
That's a
that's
common
another one.
flip of the letters.
Um, all right, so let's start with some basics, some basic fundamentals of like how you got started. Do you remember your first? Well, did you buy toys first or comics first? First of all, were you a kid who had toys and then that moved into comics? 'Cause I know some for certain age groups, like certain cartoons got people into comics. Like if you were a certain age when you saw the X-Men cartoon, you might have bounced over that way. My For me is the opposite. I was comics, then really toys.
So for me, I didn't start collecting comics, and that's the first thing when I was 19. So I
Oh
got
wow.
started a little later, yeah, a little later in life. Just needed some escapism, and I had some friends that read comics, and my former Sunday school teacher owned the local comic store in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I lived at the time. So
Nice.
I bought comics. I would, and what X-Men wasn't initially what I started with. I had, typical Batman, Superman, some Spider-Man in there,
Uh-huh.
and then I was introduced to X-Men, and I was buying comics before I'd eat. Ghost Rider, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, just kind of loved everything about superheroes. And the comics started, like I said, Uncanny X-Men 268 was my first comic. And as far as toys, Toy Biz started their action figure line for the first X-Men series. That was
Yeah.
late 90, 91. So I got
Mhm.
in that. My really good friend Marty, he collected toys and he got me into those action figures. And for the longest time, it was just the action figures. So I started in the X-Men animated series, came out in 92, and
Yeah.
a little more merchandising. And I still kind of stuck with the action figures and the play sets. And late 90s, I just said, I really like the X-Men, and just started buying anything that had X-Men plastered on it. And it's become a little obsessive and a little overwhelming.
Right. Yeah. So that was going to be one of my questions about if you remember your first comic and your first X-Men comic, uh, 268. So it's cool you remember that. My first comic was actually not an X-Men comic. I was at an antique store with my dad when I was like in elementary school, maybe second grade or something. And I saw like a Superboy. They had like a pile of old dusty comics on some shelf, and I
Mhm.
bought like a Superboy and some detective comics and an action comics, random just issues. And I read them like a million times, and that was it. I was like obsessed at that point. And then I remember I was at a pharmacy somewhere, and I got like a Defenders comic with Wolverine in it, and then that was like it. It was like Wolverine was like the initial lead into X-Men, and then with the cartoon and everything, the early '90s basically was just like it was all X-Men. That's all Marvel really had at the time, since they were
Right.
like hemorrhaging money and everything. X-Men was their only thing really keeping them afloat. So um, yeah, that's like what I find a lot, because a lot of people hit me up on my Cyclops account, like collectors and stuff who are way younger, and it's always funny talking to them about their collections and stuff because they didn't even see the cartoon. I was like, how did you even get into this stuff? It's funny to me. Or like there's that age group that only saw the cartoon. That was their like gateway. They saw the
Yeah.
cartoon because they watched Saturday morning cartoons, and then they were hooked on X-Men after that. Um, yeah, for me it was like my mom just started buying me toys for Christmas, um, and then that was it. Like I got that first run of the X-Men figures, the first
Mhm.
initial run, and I I still have all my Toy Biz figures loose. Those were all loose toys. Because now I with like certain things I don't open, so that those are all open in two big giant things. The Toy Biz figures were a lot of fun every Christmas, just like destroying those things as a real little kid. Um,
See, for
so
me, when I was a little kid, it was all the Star Wars figures. So
Star Wars.
Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, all those figures. That's what I destroyed. Crashing the X-wing in some mulch, pretending it was like Dagobah, and just kind of having lots of fun with the Star Wars toys.
Yeah, like I had a brief like little thing with Ninja Turtles and then Transformers before that, and maybe even I think I even had some He-Man at that point. But once I got into superheroes, it was just for me mostly was Batman and X-Men, and that was pretty much where I was very singular minded in the collecting and toys. And at that point, I ditched every other like thing. I bought some Power Rangers, I think, at one point, which I actually just sold like 2 years ago. But I never really got hardcore collecting in anything other than like really X-Men. This is gonna be your most obvious question, as you probably get a million times, and it's probably annoying. But
Who's my favorite?
Who is your favorite X-Men character? And if it's not Cyclops, I don't really care. But go ahead.
Well, it is Wolverine. Wolverine's been my favorite since, pretty early on reading the X-Men. Just the way he was written, and the mystery and tough kind of guy, and really didn't care what happened to him, and more about protecting his friends, his family. So yeah, it's been Wolverine. My youngest is actually named Logan.
Oh wow.
So yeah, he's pretty excited that he's named after a superhero.
That's cool.
Yeah. Well, there's a question on there. I see. Where do you do your research to find toys you don't own yet? I am constantly just looking on Google. Unfortunately, not every toy license or toy line is advertised. I can't tell you how many times I'll just be walking in a store and I see something and I hadn't even heard of it. Or eBay. eBay's a godsend, but it's also terrible because you can throw so much money there. But I'll just see things like today. Somebody on eBay listed a Funko Pop Mr. Sinister that's supposedly a Hot Topic exclusive. They have a picture holding it in the box, but there's no news about it anywhere. Hot Topic site doesn't have anything. So is this custom? What? I don't know. So it's sometimes you find something like that, and then you have to do research to see, is it legit? Is it custom?
Yeah.
There's so many customized items out there. Other than that, previews. If you're comic fans, you probably are aware of previews that are available at the comic store that come out every month. Somebody said they saw that on pre-order, quote unquote. So you have to let me know where you saw it on pre-order so I can order that as well. But yes, using previews and just doing searching, and on eBay, if I find something, and I know I will never have everything, and I also feel that I have personally, what's the best way to say? I feel I know what is worth the price, and sometimes people will just put some huge price on something just because it's old. Doesn't mean that it's really rare. So I kind of, I'll take a picture or log it and say, okay, I need to go ahead and keep searching for this some other time and see if I can find it at a more reasonable price.
One of my biggest pet peeves is like, because if you've ever hung out in a comic book store for an extended period of time, there are always those guys that come in with like a stack of comics from like the early 90s who think they're trying to get like cash out for like $1,000. And then the comic book store is like, this is worth like 50 cents and I don't want it. So just, and like that happens so often. I as a person who spends way too much time on eBay, I see people marking up stuff for wild prices. I have price limits as well. I don't care what it is. There are certain prices I like. For let's say you have a pin that's a rare pin. I'm not going to spend $100. I don't care how rare it is. It's a pin. I'm not going to spend $100 on it. Or if you have a vintage T-shirt, people are listing vintage 90s X-Men T-shirts for like $1,000 right now, and you can just go to hell, because that's like, you can literally pay someone to make any T-shirt you want for like $40. I don't understand why you would spend that. I get maybe if you're a vintage collector, but you really missed the boat on that like a few years ago. So now people are crazy prices all the time on eBay, especially with the 90s stuff. And I'm ready for this trend to die for sure, so I can get back to getting stuff for a reasonable price.
Well, and a price for one person may be they may say, wow, that's awesome, and I'll pay that. A good example is there's speculation right now that the Ultimatum, the Ultimate Universe comic stories that they had in the 2000s, that the Ultimatum storyline is supposedly how they may introduce the X-Men into the MCU. So the first issue, there's a variant cover. It's got a white background. It's got Magneto kind of slouching back in this throne chair. And the speculation is, it's at least $200, $300. And I was looking on, and I do have a copy, so I was looking on eBay, what's the sold price? 3 weeks ago, one sold for $100. Last week, one sold for $850 raw. And
Wow.
I was like, again, it goes, what is somebody willing to pay? And then I look for what's being sold right now, and people are listing them for $200, $300, $400. So it's just kind of crazy that one person saw the value in $850, and it's real. I think that's a little high, but yeah,
I think
sometimes
it's wild
speculation
high.
just drives things up.
Yeah,
But
like
you're right, the '90s stuff is really hot right now.
yeah, the '90s stuff, and like there was times where I would just let stuff sit, like let it sit in my watch list, and now I'm way more trigger happy because things are disappearing a lot faster
Yeah,
lately. I don't know if everyone's just spending their stimulus money or what everyone's getting like extra cash to buy '90s stuff, but like it seems like the last year and a half I've had, or maybe there's just just because I'm mostly Cyclops search centric, so like maybe
right.
there's definitely been a rise. I feel like in the last couple of years, Cyclops popularity. So I think that stuff is going because of that, but also anything '90s. Like I used to let stuff sit, and then I'm like, all right, I'll be back, and now things aren't coming back, and I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I better buy this right now, or I'm gonna sit and have weird sadness about it for the rest of the week,
Well,
pretty much.
if you think about it, the MCU, a lot of the characters and some of the storylines they're introducing are from the late '80s to early '90s. The whole Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet saga.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking of that as kind of a base, and Taskmaster. I know is a little further back, but in the '80s. But just that excitement, and then when Disney finally bought Fox and got X-Men, and there wasn't X-Men merchandise for the longest time. And then all of a sudden, you've
All of
got
a sudden,
Diamond Select and other, Hasbro doing all the Jim Lee style Marvel Legends. There's a resurgence on that animated type of look and the costumes, whether it's your Spider-Man, your X-Men from the '90s. And I think that's driving a lot of that nostalgia. And people
yeah,
are pulling stuff out and saying, "Oh, wow, I've got this. People are interested in this stuff. Here, put it on eBay."
yeah. And I would. I mean, there's a part of me. Well, we'll talk about the movies here in a little bit, but there's a part of me that was like happy that Disney got X-Men back, but also sad because I have been enjoying the time where I'm just playing catch up on old Cyclops stuff that's coming out, and now
Okay.
like all these companies are releasing new stuff, which I also have to buy, which is really expensive, more the top tier, nicer items like statues and like higher, like Sideshow is releasing the '90s
Yeah.
Cyclops, and I'm just like, oh, cool, $300, neat. I'm just like, I don't want that knowledge in my brain that thing exists. I'd rather they're just like, they don't make Cyclops like that. And I was like, it's easier on my wallet if that's still the reality
Yeah.
we're in. But I hope they will just lay off the '90s Cyclops for a while, because like they keep releasing cool stuff with that costume, and I'm sick of it. And I would like some more of the astonishing costumes and like the early 2000s stuff. There's no new X-Men, the Grant Morrison run. They should make some figures of that whole thing. There's a lot of stuff they can go back to, and I get that the '90s
Right.
stuff is super hot and everybody's like jonesing for it, but I would like a break from Jim Lee Cyclops merchandise. I really would. We could talk about that. Let me ask you one other question in relation to the earlier question.
Sure.
Do you have a least favorite X-Men character? Is there an X-Men character, or maybe like a toy when every time you release it, you're like, oh God, I don't want to really buy that character? Or do you just not care? It's like everything just has to be bought.
Well, there's a lot of questions in there, so a lot of answers. If it's X-Men, yeah, I pretty much got to have it, even if I may not be as interested. And you mentioned Sideshow. Sideshow is just too pricey. It's out of my price range. So I prefer to nickel and dime myself and get, spend the $10, $15, $20, $30 and get a multitude of items to have a variety. But as far as, least favorite, I will tell you that they over merchandise Wolverine. So every time that a new Marvel Legends line comes out and there's another Wolverine, it's like, come on. There's so many other characters they haven't made that they need to. But I
Right.
was asked this question the other day, and I really hadn't thought about it. And the answer I gave, as far as if there's a certain character, I Blob, he just hasn't been dynamic. There's nothing special about him. But in the recent Age of X-Man, The Extremists, Leah Williams did a wonderful job of writing that miniseries, and the
Uh-huh.
depth and the humanization that she brought to Blob and the relationship with Psylocke. I was like, wow, Blob's kind of cool. And I actually thought there was going to be a big interest in Blob, so I went and got X-Men #3. I hadn't owned it yet. And so I found a pretty decent CGC copy of it just because I said, okay, this is one of those speculation, because I figure whatever was done after Age of X-Man, they'll take some of these concepts and continue on, and haven't seen him at all in the House of X. So
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on there, but I needed X-Men #3 anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. So do I. So that's a good lead into my next question. Do you have a particular favorite X-Men story or a particular maybe like writer run on a book that's like your all-time favorite?
So the Extinction Agenda is one of my all-time favorites. I got into X-Men at 268, 270, started the Extinction Agenda. Jim Lee, who's my favorite artist, just fantastic. So that's
Yeah.
one of my top. The Age of Apocalypse storyline that ran in '95, I really like that. After reading X-Men for a few years and having this change and having everything kind of flipped on its head, I thought that was a wonderful storyline for the 4 months. And each time they've done a revisit, I've been excited to read that.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
Executioner Song was pretty good. Fatal Attractions. Fatal Attractions was really interesting with Wolverine. You learned a lot more about him then with the metal ripped out and all the changes he went through. But Extinction Agenda and Age of Apocalypse are my top two.
Yeah, those are good. I think like when I was a kid, like I would like just buy like I would just like whatever comics I could get at. So a lot of I'd have one issue, then be missing two issues, and then have 5 issues in a row. And then it was pre-internet, so it was like the only like I would buy Wizard magazines and stuff and try to like just stay in touch because I was
Yeah.
a kid and we didn't have a lot of money growing up, so my mom could only give me a certain amount of money for comics. So like my collection was really sparse. The thing about Age of Apocalypse, that storyline was the first time that I had to have everything that was coming out. That was the first time where I was like, as a kid, I was like, I'm getting all of these. Like I like freaked out. So like my mom, and I got like every issue, all of it, and I had it all, and I still have it. The same box that I had it in as a kid, that same single, just one box of just all of those issues. And that was a game changer for me as a collector because that's the first time I was like, I'm getting all of these books. Everything that has to do with this storyline, I'm getting all of it. And that was my first like completest thing that I ever did when I was really young.
Nice.
So that's really special for me. And obviously, uh, with like storylines and stuff, anything Cyclops centric is me. So like especially like in the mid to late 2000s, like I like Grant Morrison, New X-Men. I like Joss Whedon's Astonishing Run is one of my favorites because they really. One of my biggest pet peeves is like X-Men fans who are only have this like two-dimensional like thing because they watch the cartoon. So their
Mhm.
whole idea is like Cyclops is a douchebag. Wolverine wants to have sex with his girlfriend, and it's like they only have like this. This is the only thing that's in their brain about these characters. They don't know that it's like, oh yeah, like Cyclops sucks, and I was like, well, actually, Cyclops doesn't suck. And that dynamic with Wolverine and Jean is cool. And I actually like the new comics because it's less about them trying to like hump each other and just a really interesting dynamic of, well, it is about that too, but like also like it's not it doesn't have that like that cheese ball feel it did from the 90s where it was just like it was that constant like because like, is there anything more cliche like when like a comic fan says like Cyclops is a douchebag or whatever, and it's like yeah, it's like actually he's pretty cool. He's like Batman of X-Men, but whatever you want. I feel like if you're an X-Men fan, you have to appreciate the core members, like all of them, kind of a little. Like I don't know how you could just hate one because they all complement each other, especially a lot of the originals, and especially the second team with Storm and stuff. They all complement each other so well. I don't know how you could hate any of them, but beyond X-Men, I know you mentioned that you were reading Batman and stuff. Was there any other? Are there any heroes from when you were a kid and still that you like buy comics from or pay attention to, like a Batman or something? Do you read out? Are you still like, you know, cheating on X-Men on the side? Is there anything happening like that?
So as I mentioned, I didn't really start collecting comics till I was 19. So
Mhm.
as a kid, it was just, Star Wars action figures and watching Transformers Generation 1 on TV and
Oh,
DuckTales.
wow.
Love DuckTales. But
DuckTales,
as far
definitely DuckTales.
as, yeah, when I got into comics, like I said, I read other stuff and then got into X-Men. I decided to focus on X-Men. And when I did that, at the time, the death of Superman had just happened and the post-funeral. Bane had broken Batman's back. All the Valiant stuff was just
Oh, yeah.
hugely valuable. All the Ghost Rider stuff. So I actually traded in all my back issues. Sorry, all those comics, and I got back issues of Uncanny 267 to like 99,
Oh,
and
wow.
was able to get all the New Mutants, X Factor, Excalibur, Wolverine. So it just allowed me to really focus in because at the time it was like Wolverine 41. So it was like Wolverine, Cable, Sabretooth, said I'm your father. That started, of course, the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
extinction agenda. So I got in on that time with Liefeld and Lee and all that. So being able to trade everything
Uh-huh.
in and get that stuff. So I don't read other comics. I do keep up with like the previews. So I get the Marvel previews, so I'll be able to keep up on all the Marvel stuff. Because if X-Men's guest starring, I kind of want to get that comic. As far as the
Yeah, yeah.
DC stuff, I'll read a little bit here and there, but I'm a superhero fan at heart. So the Warner Brothers, DC animation, love all those animated movies. They are
Those are good.
fantastic. I just ordered Superman Red Sun, so that should be coming any day
Mhm.
now. They could do better on the
Right.
movies, the live action, but the animated movies are awesome.
Yeah,
But I don't
we could definitely rant about the. Go ahead.
say as far as cheating on the X-Men with other comics, unless they guest star, no, I'm dedicated.
That's impressive. Because I've read X-Men nonstop since I was a kid, but I've always had a thing for Batman. And I go with Superman, it's always like if there's a cool writer on it or artist, I'll pop back in. I don't really care about DC is really complicated for me. I feel like I had to have like at times I feel like I have to have a physics degree to figure out their universe relaunching and everything that they do. It's very complicated. That's why I like Batman at times, just his single book or a solo book because it's a little more grounded, like a
Yep.
Spider-Man or something like that.
So
DC is very, very tricky.
when I did read Batman, there was Batman, Detective Comics, Son of the Bat, and there was Legends of the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
So yeah, there
that's a
was
good
there
one.
was a lot of Batman going on. If I could collect others, Batman would be my next choice. I actually did have quite a Batman action figure collection for a while. I ended up selling a few of those off. I still have a couple statues, a Batman Beyond statue, and then a
Right.
regular Batman. My
I
cousin actually worked for DC Animation, for Warner Brothers Animation.
Oh
So
wow,
he
that's
wrote, if you ever look at writers, so Stan Berkowitz is a
mhm.
writer. So he wrote Superman the Animated Series, Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock, Superboy, and the Legionnaires. So he wrote quite a bit of the animated. He wrote a few Superman comics as well.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Uh, with like with other comics and stuff, like I think it's some I have whole stories of books that I've never even read because like as a weird thing as a comic collector, I'm very completist, but I do like fall out of the stories. Like if I'm not interested in what's going on, I don't read them. Like I just slip them in the thing and they go in a box and people think that's so stupid, but like it's like a weird obsession. I just like it doesn't cost me that much more to do that versus like and then if something happens then I can go back and like reread it later. But like right I have whole runs of Avengers comics that I've never read and things like that, things of that nature. But then when they get good, I'm like, okay, I'm back in. I don't have to like
Yeah.
spend too much time stressing over it.
So
Um,
there was I am very similar. I'm a completist. So there's a series called The First X-Men. It was a mini series. Gosh, it's probably been a dozen years ago. And the first, yeah, well, I'll go back. I saw those questions. I'll go back there. Um, the first issue, I was like, I'm not so sure about this. And the second issue was just awful, but it was a 5-issue series. I had to buy issues 3, 4, and 5 just to complete the X-Men story.
I have that. I have piles of comics like that. I can't stand what's going. I mean, honestly, the X-Men books for the last few years have not interested me. I didn't like the young X-Men coming back from the past. I didn't like any of that, and I was happy that they were gone. The Hickman stuff is interesting. I don't know how it's going to all pan out for a long period of time, but I was like, oh, because like everyone's like so jonesing for Gold Team and Blue Team, but it was not the same. And those books, I didn't care about the Young X-Men and what they did with Cyclops. And we can talk about all that, but like comics and like what they've been doing in X-Men for the last 10, 15 years, because it did get a little weird when Marvel didn't give a shit about them and they were trying to replace them with the Inhumans for a brief bit. Yeah. People weren't having it. They were just like, no, like why would we care about Inhumans? And that didn't really work out. And thankfully, they've gotten their shit together and refocused it. And look what happened. House of X and Powers of X was like the first time I saw like #1s of X-Men like price gouging in so many years. People were like losing their minds over these comics. You haven't seen that in a while. So I'm happy about that. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, let's roll back and see what these questions were.
Sure. Yeah. I saw one of them says, how do you, with young kids? So, my children now are 20, 18, and 15, but ever since they were little, they were allowed in the room. Back when I lived in West Des Moines, this room is shaped a little differently. It's got 3 aisles. I only had 2 aisles in my other house, but they were really good about it. It was hands behind the back, and they would look at everything. And some of the toys that make sounds, like there's a Wolverine where he presses his chest, I would let them press it. I kept the batteries in some of the toys. Their friends would come over. They were all respectful. And back then, I actually did not collect the statues. For the longest time, it was just the toys, the dolls, that kind of stuff. The statues started, let's see, probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I've been collecting for 31 years, starting with the comics and such. So the statues actually are pretty recent in comparison. But the kids are always respectful. I have had problems where my dog has thrown a toy down the steps and it bounces and it's hit a statue and broke. But that's what insurance is for. So we've been talking about putting some plexiglass doors on the statues here. The kids are very respectful.
I would lock that place up. I would lock that place up. I hope you have an alarm at your house. I would have an armed guard, that sort of thing.
So yeah, the statues you see behind me, excuse me, and then there's a room we'll go into for the toys, and everyone's really respectful. So that's with the young kids. It's just about teaching them respect, and it works out great. Sure. I saw the other question about with the Funko and some of the other stuff, has it increased the value of the collection? Yes. I do want to state that when I started with X-Men, it was just for the enjoyment, the passion of it. And over time, I just have a lot of stuff that, yes, there's a lot of value, and obviously the insurance for it. So every so often, I do have to go through my itemized lists and update the values. And especially like the Funko stuff, some of those pops are just crazy. There's I think one of the Phoenix ones I have is like $700 or $800, and I got for like $20. And the Flocked Beast is now like $550 or $600, and I got that one for like $20-25. So it's just crazy.
I would never pay that money for a Funko Pop. Those are just Beanie Babies. Those are Beanie Babies. Someday there was going to be like, watch when all, because like you and we're a unique breed. There are unique breed collectors, which I talk about a lot on the Nerdicide stream, that because of like let's say the MCU and things of that nature, it has introduced superheroes into the cultural zeitgeist, right? And it has made what I like to kindly refer to as casual collectors as Funko Pop collectors. If you were a Funko Pop collector, you have a wall of Funko Pops, you probably got into, you just for some reason started getting into this around 2008, 2009. I don't know what it was, but it was maybe the Marvel movies, and that's fine. I appreciate you putting money into the thing, into the industry, which creates stuff that I like, and it's all great. But like
Right.
when this stuff crashes, there's gonna be an eventual superhero. Like I'm over it. The casual audience person is gonna be like, I don't want to watch these movies anymore. Get rid of the shows. Get rid of all of it. And I predict there will be just landfills full of freaking Funko Pops, like there were Ataris and Beanie Babies and that sort of thing. That's always been like my prediction. Because like when I see people who have like 500 Funko Pops, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do you have every Funko Pop? It's so weird. I only have to get the Cyclops ones, and thankfully they don't make very many of them. And the nice thing about the Cyclops one is he doesn't have the weird, creepy fucking eyeballs. He at least is that shit's covered up with a visor, and that's nice. He doesn't have the dead shark eyes.
Did you get the one My Geek Box Cyclops that does not have the visor?
Yes, unfortunately, yes. The red dots. Yeah, I have those.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I paid too much for that when it first came out, and then I should have waited because I could have got it cheaper later. But that's the thing about the collection too. Like as a collector, because like I have a lot of Marvel Legends, and I see the value of those go up and down, up and down. And now, with Hasbro putting out so many older styles of characters, like especially the X-Men ones, all the old Toy Biz ones, the values have just dropped crazy. Because some of those I used to have, because mine are all in the box. I never opened them. They have all lost so much value. Because there was a point where I was really close to selling all my Legends because I was like, I'm tired of collecting all this. And I get to that point a few times, maybe a year, where I'm like, oh, I'm sick of it. I'm going to get rid of it all, except for my Cyclops collection. I'm going to get rid of everything else. And then I don't, because I look at like, the prices keep going down because Hasbro keeps re-releasing same stuff.
Right.
And that's a thing as collectors. But I think once the like the popularity of all this stuff ends, I have a feeling like for us, our collections are gonna go back out because once there's the casual person is not putting money into the market as much, these things will be made less, there'll be less toys made point, and it could be in like 10 years from now, who knows. But I feel like that's eventually coming, and then all of our stuff is. And also another thing I wanted to mention when we talk about value of collection, I feel like because I'm a weird, I get like excited about like when I find like a weird little 90s, like I'm super stoked to get the X-Men candy sticks with just Cyclops on it. And that's like not really worth anything to anybody but like me or like a weird, like someone like you, like a niche collector. That's still only worth like $5. But to me, to find something that was probably thrown in the trash a million times over in pristine condition, but it really is not like has like a big market value. Like that's also a thing you got to take into consideration when you're selling things or buying things. Like, what is it really worth to that weirdo out there who might want that weird item? Because I'm that guy looking for those weird items all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and as everyone will see in your collection, you are that, but times a million. You have things that I didn't know existed, and it will hurt everyone's brain.
So, and I have a similar story for that weird item. Back when the X-Men Evolution cartoon was out, there was a company down, I believe it was in Texas, that made all these koozies, and they made like it was like 9 or 10 different characters of the koozies, and it was solicited in previews, and I never saw it come out in the market. And I kept looking and looking, and then I ended up finding the company, and they said, well, we have all but one of the characters. We don't have any more Kitty Prydes. I'm like, okay, well, how can I buy one of each? They're like, oh, no, we're wholesalers. If you want, we're going to sell you everything. So I had to buy like 200 koozies to get 9 that I needed. So you know what I did? I bought it. Then I took all the other koozies and created sets that I could and sold those on eBay to help pay off some of that. But I was missing the kitty pride. 12 years later, somebody on eBay has a kitty pride for $5 and like $3 shipping. I was like up and down, like, oh my gosh, I finally got it. The patience paid off, and they actually had it in a special koozie case, a plastic koozie case, so it wasn't used. It was, and it still had the cardboard in it. So I was like, oh my gosh, this is like the best $5 I've spent. And that's that weirdo.
Yes, people will really never understand that feeling, which I've said to my girlfriend a million times. Like, I just got that weird. Like, I've been waiting for that Cyclops game thing from France for like a month and a half, and I was just like waiting for it to come because like I've never seen it before. I don't know what it is, and I was so excited about it. I'm like, look, I just got this thing for like $3, and like I don't know what it is, but it's amazing. And like there have been so many items like I would consider grail items, which I was going to ask you if you had any more grail items, but like Cyclops stuff that just like I know exists, but hasn't shown up, and it hasn't shown up, and a lot of it is from like Japan, wherever, or usually foreign stuff, and then all of a sudden it pops up. Some weirdo has it. He's selling it for cheap, and I'm just like, I am so ecstatic for something that's worth like $15, and like people get so they're out buying like graded comics for $200 a pop. That does not get me juiced like the way like random little McDonald's was like that's for me. It's like when I see something on eBay that I'm like I haven't seen in a couple years or has disappeared from the market, and it's all of a sudden there. And it's a couple times I've bought stuff twice just because I was like, I need that again. Like you don't, nobody else can have that one. Now I'm gonna have it again because it's just like that rush of like, that's the thing I was waiting for so long. What's really bothersome though at times is like you just get something you've been looking for a long time, and then it just starts popping up all the time. You're like,
Yeah,
okay.
that's a risk.
If I just would have waited. That happens to me all the time. So we talked about like what was your first. You started with the X-Men Toy Biz run. Did you get them all at once, or were there like just one? You just got the Wolverine first, and did also when you were a kid, did you actually have like the plastic mask they sold and stuff? Did you actually have that stuff out of the box?
So with the first series, whatever was in Toys R Us, I bought. So I ended up buying the whole set. I don't remember what specific figure, but there was what? There was a Juggernaut, a Magneto, a Wolverine, an Iceman, Storm, and Archangel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was like the first. Oh, an Apocalypse. That was like the first one. So I got those. I didn't get the play set, the mask, and the Wolverine claws and stuff for several years. I ended up finding them in a box, mint in box years later. So I did eventually get those, probably around the 94, 95 time range.
Oh yeah, Colossus and Nightcrawler. Those were.
That's funny, right. Like, Colossus, the suction cup Nightcrawler, and the Colossus just had the barbell.
So I remember playing with those as a kid, and I remember like being so excited when they finally introduced the blue and the Jim Lee costume Cyclops, because I was like, I wasn't reading comics with the friggin' X Factor Cyclops, so I was like, why do I have this figure with the blue and white stripe? Which later on, as I got older, ended up being one of my favorite Cyclops costumes is the blue and white. But at the time, as a kid, I was like, they had that stuff. There must have been a delay with making those figures or something because the costumes were out of date for most of the characters.
Yeah.
So like when it comes to like grail items, do you have like one item where that took you? I would say when I say grail, like because there's obviously a lot of rare items and stuff like that. Maybe they only made like 200 of, but is there something that took you the longest time to find
Yep.
that you were like the happiest about? That you were like, okay, now I can sort of rest. Like, was there like one big thing that you got?
Yeah, just a few months ago, I got the Marvel Legends Psylocke Mojo series variant, the Crimson Dawn variant. So
Uh,
back when Toy Biz had the Marvel Legends
uh,
and they were losing the license to Hasbro, they only had a certain amount of time and there was a cutoff date. And supposedly what happened, and the stories are out there. There's only 12 that exist of the Psylocke. The same with the Silver Shirt Luke Cage, and then the Wasp. So I
yeah.
was able to finally get a Psylocke. So that was like, okay, that was the one I was missing. So that made me really happy and had to pay a pretty penny for it, but I didn't pay anywhere near as much as what the going market rate is. So
Yeah,
it's a
I still
win-win
remember
for
when the I still remember when that Phoenix Cyclops would popped up on eBay for a while, because there was only a couple of those got made, and
yeah,
I
the
remember seeing for like
prototype.
$1,000, and I was like, nah, I'm a completist, but I just can't. Like there's like I will always hate myself for that, like because I know somewhere down the road Hasbro is eventually going to release like a Phoenix box set, and I'm going to feel like an idiot.
So I saw that and I had debated about buying it. I really debated about it, and I'm like, no, no, because I thought the same thing. I figured, you know what, it'll come out. And here they're finally releasing a version of the Rogue that never shipped. That was the Rogue Mystique that was supposed to be like the trade off. No, that was Danny Moonstar. That's right. There was a Rogue. It's about 5, 6 years ago they were going to do, and
Yeah, it
they've
was around
tweaked
the
it a
same
little bit,
time.
but
Yeah.
we're getting a version of that Rogue. There is a Phoenix figure. So again, with Toy Biz, towards the end of their license, they made an X-Men Classics line. And the previous line had like the Cyber Cyclops and Cyber
Yeah, yeah.
Beast, and they had all that kind of weird armor. Well, they did versions, they did a Phoenix, and it's very similar to the Marvel Legends Phoenix. It's pretty much the same body, but the paint is a little bit different around the black and the yellow for the Phoenix. It's slightly off. I don't have that Phoenix and that packaging. I have met somebody online that has one, and they've taken pictures. And then there is you know what? There's another one, and I'll have to go through my gallery because I saved the picture. But I think there's another X-Men one that wasn't released, a prototype that they have. But they didn't have the Cyclops Phoenix 5.
Yeah, I wonder like when I was like when we first started talking on Instagram, I wonder like when I talk to, especially when I talk to other Cyclops collectors or any other collectors in general who collect very niche market things, I'm like, I wonder if we've ever like again we're bidding against each other in those last few seconds and like
Oh yeah.
won. And I was like, and we did kind of because I got that I paid way too much for that Cyclops bootleg figure from Argentina, the space one or whatever, the Power Ranger
Hey,
one.
that I think that one was a pretty good. The Power Rangers one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
paid a
yeah.
little too much because that guy on eBay has it for quite a bit less now because nobody's buying it. Because we were the
Yeah.
only two that cared about it.
hmm I was like, I was so funny because I was like, oh, you were like, oh, did you get this? And I was like, yeah. I was like, because I get kind of obsessed with like the knockoff toys, the knockoff Cyclops, and you have the X Team ones, which you definitely have to show when you do the tour is
Sure.
the knockoffs because those are some of my favorite things in the world. Are bootleg action figures. They're so funny and weird. Some of my favorite items. But got a question here. I don't know if you can.
Yeah, the
It says,
Punisher shapeshifter.
yeah.
So Punisher's not X-Men. I don't have that, but I do have all the other X-Men shapeshifters. So there was a Wolverine in a brown costume and a yellow costume. There's an Apocalypse.
Was there a
I
Juggernaut
have
of
them
that?
all. I have. I'm sorry.
Was there a Juggernaut of that in that series, or was it just
Juggernaut.
one?
Yep, he's a tank. Juggernaut's
Yeah.
a tank. But yeah, I have all those shapeshifters. And as far as the weirdest action figure, the bootlegs. So we were just talking about those Power Rangers. There's a Wolverine that is a pink Power Ranger costume. It's a Wolverine head mask, and then he's got kind of a brown and pink. So I can show that once we go through there. But that's probably one of the weirdest. And a lot of the bootlegs are really weird and strange. And to me, that's fun. It adds some dynamic breadth to the collection. And that's why I said, I'll nickel and dime myself to have all these weird, crazy stuff rather than dropping, $500 or $600 on a statue. And that talking about limits before, I really stay away from the sideshow stuff. I do have a couple dioramas, like the X-Force sideshow diorama I got years ago, but otherwise the Bowen statues and then all the new like Diamond Select. That's kind of my sweet spot for statues.
Right. Just to be clear, because Instagram cuts us off at an hour. I don't know if you know that. But
Okay.
So if they cut us off at any time, just make sure you click the share to story and not delete the video. So
share to story. Okay.
Yeah. So it'll share it so like it doesn't disappear, because I want to put all this on YouTube later.
Okay.
That was the only thing, because you're on our account, and I was like, it won't let me do that. It'll only do it for you since you're on there.
Got it. So if we have an hour, I know you want, I'm not sure how long we've been on, but I know that part of it was giving a tour. Are we able to jump back on and create another video, or does it limit you once per day?
Oh, you can do as many as you want. It just cuts you off at the hour mark every time.
Got it.
It used to not do that. I don't know why they do it, but it's very strange. But yeah, it might cut us off in the next 10 minutes or so or whatever, because I don't remember when we got this exactly rolling. But just make sure you click that share to story. But anyways,
the story. Okay.
And we'll just hop right back on and we'll keep going.
All right. So everybody get that. So let everybody know if we get cut off, we'll be right back on.
We'll be right back on for sure. Everybody who follows NERDICIDE knows we go to like 2 hours, 2.5 hours sometimes, because and then sometimes we go way too long and we drink too much, and then we just are rambling and no one's on anymore, and it's just Courtney and I just like talking shit. But so we talked about all this stuff. I want to know, like, at what point did you really start thinking your collection was Guinness worthy, or how did that really come into play? Did you always were you always in the back of your mind like, oh, I'm shooting for this goal, or was something you kind of just thought of later?
So just collected for passion, just for enjoyment, no thoughts of having any type of a record. And then in 2012, every day after work, I just go downstairs and look at my collection, open the door, and I'm just like, God, I'm crazy. Why am I doing this? And you made a comment before about, sometimes you'd say, oh, I want to get rid of the collection. I want to keep it. I went through that as well with the whole Toy Biz figures. I couldn't find a figure. Oh, I'm going to get rid of it and keep it. But anyways, 2012, I just looked around and like, I have a lot of stuff. And I said, well, what does it take for a Guinness World Record? So I looked it up and contacted them, and they said, you just need at least 10,000 items. And they said, yeah, you can count each individual unique comic book and the trading card and, all the items. So I had, 15.4 at the time. I now have over 20,000. And so I had a couple people come over, did the affidavit, sent all the pictures in, and 2 months later, get a certificate in the mail. And you have the Guinness World Record, and then about a week later, it was up on their website.
Wow! And so, was there a person before you? Was there a guy? No, you were the first one in there. Because I remember the couple of times I joked around with my girlfriend, because before Instagram really started popping up with collections and stuff, which was the only reason I really signed up for Instagram, because I found out that a lot of collectors and action figure people were posting their stuff, and so I was like, that's cool, I want to keep track of it, and it's an easy way to do that. And then for a while I was like, oh, I'm the only person who collects Cyclops in this bulk. And then Instagram kind of led me down the fucking door of a couple other guys who I now talk to on a fairly regular basis who have as much as me. I know for sure there's a guy in Malaysia or something who has everything I have plus the statues. So I was like, I'm not special, but I was like, for a while, I was like, maybe I could just be Guinness World Record of just Cyclops stuff, which I still kind of am shooting for because I am attaining a lot of small items to amass it, but it's not really like a. I'm not doing it for that. I'm also just obsessed with just I want if I see something Cyclops, especially officially licensed stuff that I didn't know existed or whatever, I'm like, I need to have it. Just give it to me. I want it. I don't care. And a lot of times I've explained on Nerdicide where it's collecting is just like being a heroin addict. It is like I'm obsessed with getting my next fix. Once I have my fix, I'm like, oh, that's great. 20 minutes later, what's next? What am I getting next? And it's literally just like I enjoy things for about a half an hour. I'm like, I'm so excited I got this. And then I put it with the rest and I'm like, what's next? And it's a constant cycle and it's very
Right.
weird. And only other collectors really understand it. Because my girlfriend is just like, what are we doing with these things? And like other people that you meet, they're just like, why do you do this? And I'm like, I have no idea. Like I have no I just know that like if it has Cyclops on it, I need to have it. I don't care what it is. If I
Right.
don't even if I don't like it, I want it. Just give it to me. And that's like this that's the collector's curse for sure, and only a few people who really are hardcore know it. And a lot of people just collect like Marvel Legends and stuff, and I laugh at their struggles of like whatever their problems are of like, oh, I can't find this Marvel Legends at Target. I'm just like, please shut up. Your collecting problems are not real problems. I'm trying to find this stupid ball that Eric showed me from the 90s that I now know exists, and now all I want is this kickball with Cyclops on it, and it's the only thing I can think of. So please spare me your Marvel Legends problems or whatever else that's like made in thousands all the time. Um, so yeah, so the Guinness thing is pretty cool, and I have a couple more questions before we can do the tour. Um,
Okay.
Real quick, just kind of like, what are your thoughts on the X-Men movies? Are they a thing that you really enjoy? I know you collect X-Men movie stuff. You've shown me some pictures, obviously. Um, are you a fan of the movie? Was there a time where you were just like, I'm done with this, but you still watch them and you're just like, eh?
So I am a fan of the movies, not as much as the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I think what they've done with all the Avengers movies, just phenomenal. It's very hard to touch those movies. Um, Days of Future Past is my favorite. First Class is really good as well. Logan's a great movie. I enjoy when X-Men 1 came out, was excited. X-Men 2 excited. X-Men 3, oh, they're doing Dark Phoenix. It doesn't quite look the same, but let's see what happens. And it when you have an iconic storyline like that, you really can't change it that much. And I do appreciate and understand that not everything from paper translates to a movie. So you can
Right.
do some dynamic things with color and have all these bright costumes on a piece of paper in a comic book, but will it always look the same in the movie? So I understand why they went with the black leather. It's like, that's fine. Let's just make sure we're sticking with the characters. Um, I, Last Stand, it is what it is. They learned from their lesson. They started over with First Class. Great movie. Days of Future Past was good. Apocalypse, I don't think they did Apocalypse justice at all for the type of character they built him up in the comic world. And then they did Dark Phoenix again, which they still missed.
Yeah.
And as far as the Wolverine movies, it did bother me how much they changed, the X-Men Origins Wolverine. But The Wolverine and Logan were great movies. And I think The Wolverine suffered from The Last Stand and X-Men Origins as failures.
Yeah. I really I like X-Men 1 for pure nostalgia. It's like pure nostalgia porn for me because I remember being in the theater and being a kid, always fantasizing about what an X-Men movie would be like. And they did do a couple things that were so perfect For example, Wolverine popping his claws for the first time. That's a cinematic moment no one can ever really take away from, because to me it was perfect. And I was like, I don't care that this dude is 6 foot tall. I didn't care about whatever. Like, he was just in a bar and then like bar fighting for money in Canada, and he popped the 2 claws like on his neck, and I was just like, I had goosebumps. I was like, that's all. That's all. Like, I could have walked out of the theater and like, that's it. You did it. Like, but they did a lot of things right. And like, in the X2, I really like X2 because it's a very good, just constant movement action movie. And those movies set the stage for where we are now. And people like younger people don't really like, they look back on those X-Men movies and they think they're like laughable because they live in the MCU days, and they don't really understand where this shit came from. And the newer X-Men movies, I'm not a fan of teenage X-Men. So when I watch them, I don't like it. I especially when Wolverine's like all old and he's like getting all horny for teenage Jean Grey. I'm like, this is weird. Turn it off. Like, I'm like, I don't like it. They and like the last movie, for that to be the last X movie box, I was like, it's just a sad effort.
Just so you know, there's like 10 seconds left, so I'll do the save the story and jump back on.
Right, we're gonna come back on. It's gonna cut us off, and then.
Okay. All right.
Hey,
okay.
We're back.
We're back.
Hey, everybody, come on back in. We're still chatting with Eric about X-Men. If you are tired of hearing about X-Men, guess what? We're gonna keep talking about X-Men. So
yeah, but they're coming back for the good stuff. They're like, hey, we want to see what all that craziness is.
Geez, that's a whole other thing. It's like he's like, can you tell this guy to stop asking questions about this? Like, no, because this is technically my stream, and I want to know these questions. So we get to you have to deal with my curiosities first, and then we will all look at his amazing collection and feel inferior as collectors. Do you have what you consider? You already kind of mentioned your Psylocke figure as your Grail item. Would you consider that your rarest item? And also, do you have a favorite? Like, is there one piece that's like your favorite? Because I know that's like that's a rare item. But is there one thing that you just look at and you're like, oh my god, I love this thing so much? Brings you personal joy.
Yep. So back when I first started collecting, it wasn't too far long after the Toy Biz figures came out. On eBay, this guy had this Wolverine that was in this plastic bubble on a card backing, and it just said X-Men on it. And it turned out that it was a prototype of an action figure line never made. And because of the rarity of it, I do have it in a special case. But the story behind it is Marvel was looking for a little playset, and which eventually became the Pocket Comics. But this company they went to that was doing a bidding on it called Hornby, Hornby, out of the UK, did this mock-up. And when I found this on eBay, the guy had 2 of them. He had one with the head on and one with the head fell off in the package. So, of course, I said, I want the one with the head on it. But he had all the other pieces to it. There were like 10 or 11 other pieces, and they were loose. None of them were mocked up. But it was I could not afford all of it. My wife and I had just gotten married, and we were in an apartment just starting out. So I was able to get the one. And interestingly enough, if you have ever heard of Tomart Action Figure Guide, I wrote an article for them. It's probably been about 10 years ago, but it was a retro article, and they dug up all the old pictures of the old play sets and had it in that.
Oh, wow.
So I keep looking for them. Hopefully someday I'll find those other pieces. But to me, it's just one of the earliest, really rare, unique items that, other than the other one, no one really has. And to me, that's really special because that's from my early days of collecting.
Yeah, that's that kind of stuff is like super special. Um, do you have a least favorite like line of figures or like something that just kept coming out where you're just like, oh, I wish they would stop making these because I hate buying them? Was there anything that's like you're just like, this is like, because like obviously you'd be like, oh, I'm gonna buy everything with X-Men on it, but like Marvel Legends, for example, is an ongoing thing that just never ends. Is there anything where you just like, because for me it's Funko, like I don't want to buy more Funkos, like please don't make any more Cyclops Funkos because I actually don't want to buy them. I don't want to give you money, but so that's like me. Um, is there anything like you have like that where you're just like kind of like dreading it every time, or because like and like I said, we mentioned earlier, in the X-Men has kind of got pushed aside as far as like marketing and stuff for a while, but it's now heating back up big time, and then there was a while obviously in the 90s where stuff was just coming up endlessly.
You know, I don't think there really has been anything. Probably one of the kind of frustrating, and this is how the completism, how far it goes. I want to say it was probably in the late 90s or early 2000s. They came out with marbles, and there were Marvel, but there were X-Men, and there were different colored marbles. So I kept buying the packages to find all the different colors. So there's like Rogue there, and I can show them, assuming the lighting works back there. There's like 6 different Rogues because it's different marble colors. There's clear and yellow and orange and yellow solid, yellow clear, and there's I don't know probably 10 different. And there are Cyclops ones, but there's Cyclops, a Sentinel, some Wolverine, Beast. I think Magneto. But for me, it's just like, oh my gosh, why? I have like this disease called completism, and I'm trying to find all the different colored marbles. But other than that, no, I really, most of the things, I'm just happy that there was something X-Men to collect.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever like, because we talked a little bit about Sideshow being like a cutoff point because of price wise. Is there anything else that you just refuse to spend the money on? Was there ever like a series or maybe an item where you were just like, I can't spend that much money, or I don't want to try to collect all of these things because they're too upfront. I'm pretty sure I guessing you don't have the Mazda car from X2 in your garage or anything like that.
well, I do have a smaller version of it in my collection, but no, I don't have the official. So yeah, I got to a point where like hats, I was collecting hats for a while, and then a New Era just started going crazy with the X-Men stuff. They've got obviously the Marvel license, but it got to a point and I had to stop because they came out, they were like $25 and then $35 and then 50, and they're coming out with so many of them that I'm like, enough. I cut it off. I used to collect backpacks and lunch boxes. I stopped with the backpacks. They still make some. Clothing, I have some t-shirts I wear, but I never really got into the clothing. Sometimes family members for the holidays would give me like socks and other stuff, and I'm like, no, there's a point. I really found that it's about the collectibles, and somebody just said, where's your collectibles? We'll get to the room in a moment here. But it's really about the collectibles and the dynamics of that I really focused on. With the Bowen statue, since I just got into it late, I do have my price point as well. There's, certain ones like Mr. Sinister is going for like $600, $700, $800. I'll probably never get it, but unless I win the lottery, and if I do, okay, then fine. But I have to balance it. I have a family. I have a wife. I have kids. I have mortgage. All that, and I have one in college, a second one graduating high school now, going to college. So really need to make sure I'm focusing on the family, and they do come first. So it's that balancing act to say, okay, here's my allowance for this month on X-Men, and I stop here. And if I can't afford it, oh well.
And when you met your wife, and like, was she, when she first saw this side of you, was she surprised? Was she like, oh my God, or is she? I'm sure at point now she's probably numb to it all. that you just have all this stuff, and she's just like, it's just like you start talking. Like when I start talking to my girlfriend and think about like stuff, I'm like about anything about like Cyclops stuff I'm trying to get. I think she just goes to like a different place in her brain, where she's like, yeah, cool. I'm like, yeah, but you understand, I got this guy, and there's an eBay, and I'll be like, this shit, like, oh wow, great. And I feel like for you, do you even like is she a collector, or is she just like a person who's just like, that's nice, honey, just like as long as we have food on the table, it's fine.
So when we met back in '94, what I had was, maybe was it 30 or 40 action figures had come out by that time, a
Yeah.
few other play sets. So there wasn't a lot, and the comics I had just started collecting. So, and there weren't really variants back then either. So there wasn't really a lot of comics. Overall, everything. So basically the wall behind me, all my stuff probably fit on that and didn't even fill up the full wall. And of course, now I have a whole nother room. So she was like, okay, cool, whatever. Back when you meet, you probably think it's a phase. But it was also important to me. So when we got together, it was a package deal. It was the collection, me, and the dog that I had at the time. And over time, it's just grown, and she knows it's important to me, and it's kind of a game for the kids, and sometimes for my wife, though she'll probably say it's more for the kids. They go out and try to find something I don't have, because they'll like send. I'm like, got it, like Big Bang Theory, when they're in the comic store, got it, need it. It's a game to see what doesn't Dad have that we can get. But it's kind of one of those things now where I do realize I can talk too much about it, so I try to balance it and maybe just give this one little snippet, but other than that, try to, it's kind of my thing, and it probably does become numb. I think she's upstairs and she's watching this. I'm not sure. I saw her pop on earlier, but she just shakes her head most of the time, like, okay, yeah, as long as we can pay the bills and we've got a roof on our head and food on the table,
For sure.
have at it.
I feel like as long as you are, just like any other kind of addict, if you are a person, like if you're a Charlie Sheen level addict where you can still show up to your sitcom every day and still balance out your drug habit, but also put out a hit show, I don't see a problem with it. Like if you're in the alley and you don't have a house anymore, then there's an issue. So I feel like I pay my bills, and if I want to get a weird item from France, I'm gonna get that weird item from France.
Yeah.
And I also like we talked about it's countless times now, I have a cutoff point, and I feel, and so do you. Like it's just like there are reasonable things, and where it's like, oh, I'm not spending thousands of dollars like all the time.
Right.
Regardless of how many things that people are like, oh, you have so many things, you keep posting. I'm like, yeah, but this one was $4, this one was $5. Like, you understand? Like, it's not like, and I didn't buy them all last month. Like, this is that's from the 90s.
And what's interesting is I want to say it's been about a year, maybe a year and a half. Yahoo News came to my house and they did a whole video interview, and they posted it on their site. And I was reading a lot of comments, and it's very interesting how it's very easy to bash people. And there were a lot of trolls making some comments, and people are like, I can't believe you spent all that money. But that's the one thing is they don't understand. It's 30 years. I started collecting comics in 1989, started collecting the toys in 1990. It's now 2020. When this video came out, it was 2018. But you think about it, 30 years of collection, it builds up. It's not like you went and dropped, 100, 200K at once. It's, $100 here, $50 here. And when I averaged it out, I probably spend, $300 to $400 a month on average. And some months are higher because there's something more, and the other months are lower because I'm like, I know I spent too much last month, and I ate my allowance for this month, so I just back off. And that's the one thing is that I think as collectors, people need to understand as they show off to their fans, the perspective is it's not just now, it's over time.
Yes. And on top of that, like I'm a person that buys things. There might be a lot on eBay that I just want one thing for. I turn around, I flip the items on eBay, make all my money and then some back. So people are like, oh, you're spending all your money. You're spending all your money. I'm like, not really. I get the one thing, and then I sell the other stuff, and I break even, and like, I'm good. I didn't even actually spend any money on these items. Like, so
Stanley Tucci.
sold it. Stanley Tucci, you're getting a lot of it. You get the
Well, you know, it's
the Jeff Bezos. Yeah,
yeah, Jeff
you get the
Bezos, Stanley
perfect
Tucci, Professor X.
you
Yeah,
get the perfect hair for the coronavirus situation.
yeah,
Like I'm
yeah.
like, my shit's all overgrown.
Well, at least you
It's like
have it.
you're
I see
lucky.
you keep doing this. I'm like, he's trying to make me jealous. To make me
No, I'm
jealous. You
just
know, the
like very
rainbows
like
are
my
there.
hair is like crazy long right now. It's longer than it normally is, and so it's like Joe Russo. Joe Russo is a troll. Shout out Joe Russo. He's on right now. He's a troll. He's gonna make some terrible jokes. But
Okay,
he produces some great horror movies and things.
okay.
He's a great guy. But he's a troll on our Nerdicide. So he's gonna say a bunch of dumb things about Wolverine. He
Well,
thinks it's
you
modern.
can see a Cyclops statue right up here
Yeah, for sure.
behind me.
Yeah. So it's all
Well,
love. It's all love.
now my wife just joined. So we were talking about her before. Now she just joined.
Yeah, there you go. We are saying all bad things, and so you should pack your bags. It's over. Um,
Now she's really shaking her head like she always does. Like, oh gosh, he's
gosh,
too
yeah,
much.
exactly. So as a collector, are there any things that like frustrate you the most about about collecting? Is there anything like that really bugs you about other collectors? I have weird little quirks about like dealing with people on eBay that are kind of annoying and stuff like thing. You run into a lot of like interesting characters and stuff. People who try to like my thing is always like when you win an eBay auction and then they try to come to you like, oh, it's gone, or like, and they didn't get what the money they wanted, and I'm like, nah. Or the new one is the coronavirus. I've had 3 different sellers be like, oh, I can't ship this because of the coronavirus, and it's because I won it for like peanuts, and I'm like,
Okay.
bro, I can ship things. I'm still getting things from Australia. Don't play games with me. You better ship this item. I was like, so that's happened to me a bunch of times. Are there any like things that you dealt with? And also, do you go to like are you a flea market person? Are you a Comic-Con person? Do you do physical interactions, or is it just all eBay?
So to answer the first question, I think there's only ever been one time in my, like I said, I think I've been on eBay since it started it back in the 90s. There's only been one time where somebody didn't follow through. Most people are really good. What my pet peeve is are people who sell comic books and do not package them correctly. And of late, it's very interesting. Over the past probably 3 months, I have received so much damaged comics because they really are not packed well. One person this last, it was 2 weeks ago, what they did is they took 2 pieces of cardboard, put it over the comics, and I got a lot of like 12 comics it was the first series of Guardians of the Galaxy, and I wanted issues 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 because it had like X-Men back references in it and flashbacks. So I just wanted those just for that. And they're like $2 comics, but it was this lot of 12 different comics, $20. Okay. So they put it between 2 cardboard, and then all they did is put it in, they taped the cardboard on the side, so there's no side protection, and then they put it in a manila envelope and sent it. And they were all damaged. I took pictures. Here you go. That's probably the one thing that I could, indicate is my pet peeve is if you're going to sell a comic and you show it's mint and it's not dinged up on the photos, make sure it's packed correctly and it doesn't slide in its packaging so it can be received. Because now what's happened is they had to pay the return shipping, and then they get mad at me. And I actually had a guy get mad at me, and I took pictures and I'm like, these are the comics you sent me. I'm not pulling anything over on you. And he got really mad. eBay gave me my money back, and he started saying all these curse words. And I said, you know what? I don't want this for free. I will send it back to you. Give me $3 and I'll send it back to you. And he wouldn't. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? Every year I do this. I donate to I just lost it. It's not Wounded Warrior. It's gosh, it's to the soldiers, and every November I send like 100+ comic books to them. Give me 5 minutes, I'll probably remember the name of it. But they're always asking for any kinds of stuff for the soldiers. So when I go to Comic Cons, and I do go to some, I go to like some local ones, some smaller ones, just because it costs a lot of money. Like San Diego, you're going to drop $2,000 just to go to San Diego, and that's $2,000 of stuff I can't buy for my X-Men.
Exactly
so I've gone to C2E2 a couple times. I went to Denver because I was visiting my sister out there. I've gone to some other local ones. Wizard World, Des Moines, that's where I met Stan Lee. And then C2E2, I just met Jim Lee this last time. So I kind of keep it local and buy some stuff, but a lot of it is eBay, to answer your question. A lot of stuff is on eBay, and I just let them know, hey, I'm a collector. Please make sure it's packaged correctly. And 98% of the time, 99% of the time, it arrives great. It's just the comic books of lately. I don't know what's going on. If people are trying to, save a few bucks by not packaging it correctly, but it's hurting them in the end, unfortunately.
Yeah, for sure. Like I've only once in a while will have a packaging issue with eBay. My thing is like people will be like if people have their best offer on, and then you send them your offer, and then they will send you a message just like cursing you out. I'm like, okay, take a chill pill. Like if you don't like the offer, you just click decline. You don't have to call. You don't have to send me a message calling me like a cuck or whatever the hell you want to call me on eBay. I was like, people are really sensitive. I get that a lot also on OfferUp and LetGo. I've actually stopped using them altogether because I get tired of dealing with such sensitive weirdos on those seller apps, because people are just like so sensitive about like, oh, this is too much, oh, this is too low. I've been trying to sell these NECA Ninja Turtles for like a month, and people are just like, you would not believe the messages I get from these crazy people who are just so instantaneously enraged about your price, and then also your unwillingness to budge on it. I'm like, I'm not trying to like make rent here. This is just like, if you want to pay for that, then you can. If you don't, then don't message me. But people are like, this is, and people send you mean messages. People are crazy. Collectors are crazy. I know because I'm one, but I get that all the time. Randos just sending me crazy messages. Let's see, we got some comments here. Comic Drive for Soldiers. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, that's I believe that's it. I think I know the article my wife is referencing. I believe that there's a deep link into that to the actual site. I think it's a different name. But yeah, there's a Comic Drive for Soldiers that happens every year around October, and that's it. Nice. And I think the place is out in California that I end up sending the comics to. So anyways, on that particular one, so it was the Vision and Scarlet Witch first issue, 4-issue miniseries, and I just wanted issue number 4 because Magneto was in it. But it was a good deal for all 4. So I'm like, okay, this came so banged up that I'm like, you know what? I'll donate it to the soldiers, and I still need to go find an issue number 4 of that for my collection.
That's an interesting thing. I didn't know that was a thing. I'll have to look into it because I actually pulled like about 4. I went through my comics like a month ago when, pretty much around the time when the virus hit and like SF kind of shut down. I had been meaning to go through all my comics to kind of look in and like, what back issues am I missing? Kind of like redo my library, and I did it, and I pulled like a lot of stuff from the 90s. I had like doubles, triples of. I was like, this is just eating up box space. So I was like, and a lot of it's not even worth selling because they're dollar comics, and I'm like, I'm not trying to send a dollar comic on eBay. It's a waste of time. I'm not a comic shop. I don't have enough to facilitate that kind of thing. So that may be something I'll look into, because I would like to get rid, because they're randoms. None of them are in any kind of order or set, and so it's like it's like, but it might be cool to like donate them. I'll have to look into that for sure. I think that's pretty much it for my questions. We have to do 2 things. First, I'm gonna ask you one last question before we do the tour, and then I'm gonna take a pee because I need to pee and I'm an old man before we start. I'm going to ask you a question, and then I'm going to walk away,
Okay.
I won't even get the answer because I got to go to use the bathroom, and my dog is probably going to jump up. He's gonna be like, where are we going? Because he's laying on the floor next to me. And I'm like, nowhere. We're coming right back. But my question before, and by the way, anybody in the chat, I see there's like 10, 11, 12 people in here. Now is your chance to ask Eric some preliminary questions about his collection before he starts going through the tour. If you want to know, like, hey, what's this? Like, if do you have this? What's this? Any kind of questions you have, you want to start shooting at him right now. It would be a good time. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. My question for you was Cyclops right? That's my question.
Oh.
I'll be right back.
Wolverine was right.
Oh my God.
All right, we'll wait. You know what? I'll take a quick bio break. I'll be right back too. All right, we all take a big bio break. The Can't Talk quick bio break, and we'll be right back.
I know, but sit down. Okay. Hoi! Wouldn't be an episode of Nerdicide if somebody didn't take a bathroom break. You know? Yeah.
All right, I took a bio break too, so okay.
Nice. Before we do that, I want to. I just want to. So I was really excited to get this thing, also because once I found out you did not own it, it was very exciting to me because I was like, oh shit, I won up to Eric finally. He had because you have so many things I don't have. This thing, the interesting thing about it is that it still works.
Nice.
It actually, here we go. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a little Cyclops. You basically just dodge Sentinels in the game. This is my new favorite thing because I didn't know it existed. And today, I'll show you what I got today in the mail, just because this is a thing we do on Nerdicide. What did we just get? And you'll be interested. This is my newest Cyclops pillow. I don't know if you have this guy.
I think I might have it. My pillows are all packed away, but I think I do have it. Yeah, there's like a Gambit one as well and a Wolverine. I think I have those. Yeah.
This was the one I had before. This one, which I still like a lot more because it's got the Jim Lee one on there and then that one on the back.
Oh, nice.
This was a little more faded, but this one I just got today, which is in way better shape. I'm super stoked about this.
Yeah, that
just came today. That's like one of those things I just like pulled the trigger on. I was like, okay, yes, I don't care what you're trying to sell for. It's just like I can't play the game anymore now. It's no fun. Everybody's just buying everything up. So, let's see. These are all dumb jokes from Joe Russo.
Yes, I do have the Wolverine pillow. I know he's talking about yours.
Okay. That's his thing. So yeah. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically let Eric. I'm gonna take a step out so we can do a full screen of the tour.
Okay.
He's just gonna go around. If you guys want to ask him questions or to stop on a particular item, like, hey, what was that? What is this? Feel free. I'm gonna be doing that a lot because I want to see things, especially with Cyclops on them. Feel free to stop and make those exceptionally long moments for me because I like to see weird Cyclops items. And other than that, that's it. So let's do it. Let's see it. Let's see. We've been talking about it. Let's finally see it.
So, question for you:
Yeah.
should I keep the phone upright or should I turn it on its side? What's the best way it's going to give the best view?
Just keep it upright right now,
Okay.
because then I won't have to re-edit it later in the iMovie. Just do
Okay.
upright, and yeah, Courtney's already got a request. Courtney's a Colossus fan, so
Okay.
he's my partner on her side. So any Colossus things, yeah, he would like to see for sure. I'm
Okay.
gonna go ahead and I'm gonna X out of this so we can do full screen with Eric. Everybody, hang in there.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm leaving.
All right. So yes, I do have the Water Wars toys. All right. So I was asked to start with Colossus right there. That was actually one of those statues that I was really interested in, and I watched it for about 5 years on eBay, just trying to find the right price, and finally got it for what I wanted. So I'm just going to take a step back here. So outside my room is a lot of statues. Well, I guess kind of on the end here, we've got a scooter and some helmets and some fans. Probably saw me post those on Instagram yesterday if you followed me. But we actually have a X-Men scooter, some helmets, but I'm just going to do this long look down here. We'll look at all the statues. So 13 feet long, floor to ceiling. A lot of Bowen statues. That's kind of yeah, I see you in the chat, so I'll continue to watch that. Fans are wild. Some of the cool items. So, any of you remember Wolverine in the X-Men cartoon in 2009? There is a company called One-to-One Collectibles that got the license to make statues. They showed them at San Diego Comic-Con that year. They went under. They never made them. These are unreleased prototypes. The reason I have two Wolverines is the one in the back on the right was the first one that I got, and it was actually came damaged. He was missing his cowlick in the front. The second one seems to be production quality. It matches the actual solicitation pictures for One-to-One Collectibles back in previews in the day. But yeah, these statues are prototypes, so probably not going to see those. Then we get down here and have the old creative license statues. And then I've got some, I just realized my puck lights aren't working, so I apologize for that. I have a fan-made Jubilee statue in the form of Bowens. Yeah, stop at all the rarest items. Yeah, I'll continue to do that. Some more there. Then we have all I don't know how to properly pronounce it, but I think it's Bishoju. All the Kotobukiya statues over there. And then, of course, Wolverine merchandising. So there's a lot of stuff. This particular one right here is from France. So Justin, you were asking me, are there things you're not as interested in? I have a hard time liking the statue. To me, it's not the design that I would normally go for, but it's extremely rare, and I've only seen it listed twice. And then in the back there are a couple more from Attackus, Attackus in French, the brown and the yellow Wolverine. Then the next section here, so you're going to get some Cyclops love here. We've got kind of the Jim Lee versions of the X-Men, and then we've got the X-Factor version. And then we've got my X-Force shelf. As I mentioned, I do have the Sideshow diorama back there. And then this is one of my favorite shelves just because of the diversity of all the different X-Men. Mostly Bowen statues. The Psylocke and Nightcrawler are NECA statues. And then this Bowen statue, this Beast, only 75 were made. It was, I believe, the last Bowen Designs statue that was made. And it was a website exclusive. Then we've got the Dark Phoenix diorama set here. So you've got the single Cyclops, and then, of course, in the back there, you've got the Cyclops Jean Grey. And then I do have, I guess I did have a couple more sideshow ones. I've got a diorama there of the X-Men, and then this is pretty cool with Deathstrike and X-23, and then Psylocke and Spiral. So down here, so I've got some more fan-made statues here. Got this really cool Cable, humongous, along with Magic and Nimrod. And then Fastball, Colossus, and Wolverine is awesome. Yeah, that Wolverine can be on its own base, but I thought it was really cool just having it a Fastball special. The Blob and Sauron and Silver Samurai are fan-made statues. Then we'll get up into some mini busts here, mini statues. I'm not sure if many people know, but with Avalanche, there was actually a problem with Bowen Designs. They made it. It did not pass the drop test, but about 50 of them got out, and I was able to get one of the 50. It's really super rare. Then they remade it about 5 years later and made it a lot more solid, so the bust will stay on the base. And I'll step back here. We'll get a little more view. Lots of Wolverine. There's so much Wolverine. Again, as I mentioned before, just so much over merchandising. That would be a little bit of a pet peeve for me. As much as he's my favorite character, I still want some diversity. Excuse me. So we have a lot of the Marvel premiere. These were back in the mid to late 2000s. I believe all of these were they're Diamond Select, and they were all retailer exclusives. And we've got some more Wolverine and some bookends with Wolverine and Sabretooth. You don't have enough Wolverines. Yeah. Yeah, that Magic is really cool. Continue on with the Bowen minibus. And then we get down to the Kotobukiya minibus and the Gentle Giant young characters. This Wolverine, 2009 Wizard World Chicago, it was solicited by Kotobukiya. They canceled it. I thought I had the only one. I've seen 2 others listed on eBay, so there's probably just a few out there. But everyone that I've seen, they all say 1 of 1. So they must all just be prototypes. Got some others. So this Gambit, Iceman, Cyber, Sauron, and Omega Red. There's a company called Tantalus Designs, and I believe they were out of Europe. I don't remember. I'd have to go look at my logs. But this was I think this was called like the Wolverine series. Interestingly enough, there's no Wolverine. And there's only like 40 or 50 made of each of those. Very small production run. More Wolverine. And then we're getting towards the end here, this last aisle here. Yeah, I got to meet Scotty Young a couple times. He's a great guy as well. These mini busts are from Spain. So I don't remember if I showed you this one or not, Justin, but there is a Cyclops. I think the name of them is Altaya, Altaya. Then we've got this X-Men diorama. Waiting for the rest of the animated mini bus to come out. Cyclops is the only one that's come out so far. And then we get into Ultimate X-Men mini bus. And then there you're talking about the Grant Morris, or the Astonishing X-Men. And Grant Morrison, you got some Cyclops bus there. And Colossus. I do have both the regular and the chrome version back there. And we've got some more statues. We've got these ones from Asia. So we have Juggernaut versus Beast, and Wolverine versus Cyclops. And then these are from Iron Studios in Brazil, the Colossus, Juggernaut, Psylocke, and Wolverine. And then X-Men Evolution is up top here. You'll probably see there's two Professor X's. You can notice the one in the back, that's a prototype, pre-production. And then the Storm, that's the Storm in the front's production, and there's a pre-production, pre-production in the back. Both of them have different paint jobs. And then they actually made a Captain America statue for the X-Men Evolution line. And then there was an exclusive chrome Colossus. So that's the statues outside the room. What else is also out there? Got this really cool guitar. No, I can't play. Terrible musician, terrible singer. As we're going towards the door here, I like to go ahead and show off that I do have the Guinness certificate. Got that Cyclops for 11 bucks. All right. So we're going to open the door here. Just kind of take a step back and kind of take in the moment. Take in the craziness of these wonderful, colorful things, and we'll step in. Go ahead and post if you need me to slow down or adjust. There's a lot to go through here. So I will start on my left, which is the movie. Actually, what I will do is I'll just pan behind the door real quick. I do have some artwork, some animation cells, but on the back of the door, I do have all my pins and keychains. But let's get to the really cool stuff here. We'll get to the movies. We're not worthy. All right. So yeah, it's pretty much like a store, right? So there's tons of movie stuff here. Whether it's from the movie theaters getting cups and stuff, from the action figures. To promotional items. With the last movie, they gave away a lot of these little keychains and magnets, koozies. I mean, there's just some crazy stuff going on here. Got the action figures down at the bottom. I'll just kind of walk each shelf. No Wolverine. There's Wolverine. My chest hurts. One of the things with the X-Men, probably the movies, there are like tons of watches. I think between movie watches and regular watches, I have like 80 different watches. The one thing a lot of people are not aware of is speaking of watches, there is this, I'll open up the case here. Probably, if you look on eBay and do search for X-Men watch, you'll see this one from the movie. But a lot of people do not know on the back of the watch, there is a sketch. So, so far I've been able to find Cyclops, Wolverine, Mystique, Storm, and Professor X. I suspect there's a Magneto and a Jean. I don't know. But a lot of times when I wear them all the time. I do have an X-Men watch that I wear. That's a cover of X-Men #1. But no, I don't wear any of these. I have that other one. But a lot of times when I find the watch on eBay, I ask them, can you look on the back and tell me who's on the sketch? And most of them have never, ever known. They've never looked at the back of it because they just keep it in the packaging. Um, I do have all the soundtracks for the oh gosh, I already forgot the name of the show, but the X-Men show that was on last year or 2 years ago. They had a special promo device, promo drone, so I got those. Can't remember why I can't remember the name of the show. Again, just lots of different promotional stuff given out to the media. A lot of the stuff I get from Thailand and Singapore. This is actually a frisbee, and that one came from the UK. We have this Wolverine USB shaped as a gifted. Thank you, thank you. I guess it didn't make that much of an impression on me to remember it. I'll move this. This was a game given out in the UK. Headphones, again, promotional items. And again, the video is not going to do it justice. Just being able to walk through here and see everything is just like, wow, there's layers upon layers of stuff. This is from Kellogg's. They did have, in the cereals, you could get the little tags, but they also came out with this nice case. Right, we'll keep going down here. Actually, quite a bit of X-Men jewelry from the first movie. There's a lot of different bracelets and necklaces. There is one I know I'm missing. I did not win that on eBay. That was, I think, last year. Remember how good X-Men Origin Wolverine was? Yes, I do. We were talking about how good that was earlier. Phone cases. Yeah, the first movie did have a lot of promotional stuff. Blade was the first Marvel movie, and that did okay, but X-Men, I mean, they had to market the heck out of that to make it, to really get Fox off the ground. X-Men masks. I do have some masks. I'm not sure if that's what you're referring to. Unless there's merchandise coming and that's what you're referring to. That'd be awesome. All right, let me just shift over here. Oh, do you have the Cyclops visor, Justin? Let me see if I can open this without dropping my phone. There we go. Yep, we'll get you close-ups later. All right, we'll keep going along here. Vivid masks. Okay, I have not heard of that. Yeah, there are a lot of dog tags. Cyclops promotional visor. It's actually called X-Men 3, interestingly enough, not The Last Stand. Then we get into, I am missing the, from KFC, from X-Men First Class, there is a Professor X watch that I'm missing. And then there's these Del Taco, which I think is in California. There's a Beast little frisbee I'm missing. Oh, COVID masks. I have seen some people on Etsy and others making their own custom masks. Those are really cool. My mother-in-law actually made me a mask out of some Marvel fabric that she had. Keep going through here. This again, so much movie stuff. All the mini mates. NECA stuff, yeah. All right, so since this ceiling is really high, I'm a little short, so I will do my best here. We have actually X-Men Kellogg's cereal. That was from England, I believe. And again, we're just going to show a lot of popcorn tubs and cups, and I have so much that I actually had to stack a lot of them inside of each other because I ran out of space. And I know I don't have all of the theater merchandise. I've seen some other people on Instagram, like the X-Men movie collection. I think they posted some cups I don't have. So thank you for posting those so I can continue to go look for those. Alrighty. We're almost to the end of the movie stuff. All right, so above my comic closet, I've got these flyers, Wolverine, Archangel, and Magneto. So I'll take a step back here. A lot of people say, do you have comic books? Yeah, I have a lot of comic books. I can turn on the lights in here, and yeah, there's a lot of comic books. They're labeled so I know where to find everything. So we walk down the left side of the aisle. We'll go down the right side. So I was mentioning before the Wolverine prototype 1 of 2. That's it right there. A special case. I have a chess set from X-Men 2's given out to the media. Probably can see the X2 etched in the middle. All right, we'll go, and when I spoke about like watches and jewelry, we'll get to a lot of that stuff right now. There's just so much stuff out here. There's a lot of coins. I don't remember who makes the coins, but there's like 6 or 7 other coins I don't have, and a lot of those go quite pricey, so I've passed on them. Someday I may get them. But yeah, there's a lot of these kids' watches, so that's what was mentioned in the mid-90s when so much merchandising was coming out. They just threw X-Men on anything. And here's a lot of the X-Men movie watches. So this is a prototype of a movie watch that was never produced. I believe there's only 3 that exist. I don't open my stuff that's really rare. I did try to win a second one just so I could open it up, but I didn't win it. It's actually an animation watch. It actually shows like little cartoon animation on it. Unfortunately, since the battery has long since died, I can't show that. All right. Some of these other watches are harder to see just because of the way I have things stacked. Yeah, it would be cool to see that watch in action. I won't do it. So as mentioned, so this watch right here, I do have an extra. See if I can get a better shot of it. That's the one I wear. I do, of course, have one for my collection. Oh. All right. Take a try to do a better angle of these watches. Ask questions, yes. Do you have any movie props, like screen used? No, I don't have any movie props. A lot of those were pretty pricey, and unfortunately, I was not able to to add them to my collection. Maybe someday. You could watch this all day. On the floor here, we do have some remote control cars. The van. These have never been used. I've always wanted to get extras that I can, especially like this one. This would be fun to be able to run around. Never have. All right. So make sure I got this centered right. There we go. I'm just in awe and getting amped up for Water Wars. The Cyclops, the Gambit, and the Wolverine, these are from England, and from what I understand, the person that sold it to me, there is a Storm as well. I believe it's from around 94, and it was something that they actually got for Christmas. You're supposed to paint them. And she doesn't know what happened to the Storm. I have everything itemized on my spreadsheet for insurance, for my will. It's all going with me. It's all going with me. A big, huge mausoleum, so I can... No, I'm kidding. I'm sure my wife wants to be able to retire well as my kids. All right, moving along here. So I got to show off my picture with Stan Lee. And I do have the X-Men #1 of the second volume signed by Stan Lee, Jim Lee, Chris Claremont, and Scott Williams. That's one of my prized possessions. Here are all the Eagle Moss chess sets. And something interesting, this Wolverine here, you'll notice there's a short one. That is a prototype. They decided to go with the taller base. Do you want to be buried in the Magneto mask? Or Cerebro? They actually hurt when you put them on. Well, they've got some foam padding, so it doesn't hurt as much. All right, so come here. Snow globe, cookie jar, salt and pepper shakers. My middle son, Eli, made this for me. I think he was in 5th grade, kind of Wolverine bobblehead. So that's awesome for my collection. I appreciate his thoughtfulness, and you can't place a value on things like that when your kids are that much invested in it as well and know the joy and excitement you get. That's just fantastic. We were talking about the X-Men animated stuff. Justin and everything coming out. Here's all the Kotobukiya items. Just all that nostalgia. And then we've got the X-Men movie busts. And then X-Men movie statue. Claws. Oh, and there's a corn tub here. So when we walked in immediately on my right the wall, and I try to use as much wall space as possible, I've got all kinds of things. You know, there's just so much. These, for example, these are well, I shouldn't say prototype. These were not released art prints in wood frames. I met somebody online and he got them for me. I do have race car track. There's X-Men movie, X-Men Wolverine, and Sabretooth. And the bigger one, the Carrera, is from the UK. And they're actually larger size cars. I do have the Wolverine and Magneto cars that I'll be able to show in a little bit. They're packaged separately. So coming back on the wall, yeah. Tennis rackets, ping pong, all the Steel Mutants. I never could open them up. They were just so cool in their reflective packaging. And we've got some clocks up there. Fishing rod. Got a couple more guitars, Wolverine guitars over here. That Wolverine Bo Jackson looking one is insane. Which one is that? There's a Cyclops mask. That's from Italy. All right. Got all the different foam fingers from the Wolverine game and movie. On the door to our utility room here, try to use as much space as possible. Pins, patches. Let's flip around here. Okay, so now we're in the second aisle. So we were in the first aisle with the movies. Now we're in the second aisle here. Got the Marvel Select figures. Oh, you have that mask. Okay. All the Marvel Select stuff. And then got a lot of bobbleheads over here. That's from China. And when you find those bootleg things and they're in packaging, that's just so cool. The Mighty Mugs. So if you've heard of Nodniks, so before Funko Pops, Funko was making these Nodniks. This is a prototype of a Wolverine. It never made it to production. Then I've got some solar-powered Wolverines, so that's why we've got some head bobbing going on there. And then we've got some cool things from Japan. The Wolverine, Cyclops, and Storm, and then the Cyclops and the Wolverine Bank. These little mini statues up here from the UK, they're Panini. They're actually a little taller than the Eagle Moss statue, little mini statues that came out, 10 years ago? Got the life-size Wolverine claw. Then we get into a lot of the Happy Meal food.
We'll wait for everyone to jump back on here. An hour goes by really fast, doesn't it? Justin, I just can't believe how fast an hour flies by. Didn't even see the little warning that it was going to time out there. Yes, I did save the video. You've taught me well, oh master. All right, we'll give a few more seconds for others to join, and we can go ahead and get started again. Okay. So we were going through like all the restaurant food premium items here. So I've got stuff from all over the world, a lot of American stuff, but a lot of stuff from Europe and Asia as well. The X-Men Evolution in the UK, they released the figures with cards, and in America, they did the little CD-ROMs. So, of course, I had to get the UK ones just for the cards. That's that completism coming back. All right. Oh, there we go. Pan through all the movie food premiums. And these little ones, these are actually from Mexico. The Pizza Hut thing. Oh, are you talking about the... that's a cardboard. That you could order a little personal pizza, and they would serve it up in that box. So, of course, I got one without a pizza in it because I didn't want it stained. All right, we'll go back down here. All right. Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you. That's a sick collection. Yeah. Sometimes I am a little sick in the head, just way too much stuff. Haha. Okay. Just getting down a little lower to show all this. Jollibee, yep. That was, I think, that little plane of those premiums. All right, I mentioned, I'll come to this side. I mentioned the Eagle Moss before. So again, those are a little smaller than those Panini ones up top. In the front here, you'll see these even smaller ones. Those are from Spain. Those are lead figures from Spain. They made a limited set of X-Men ones. All right, so what I'm going to do is just take a step back to the front of the aisle I came down. I'll just go on my right here. So we've got a lot of die cast, so I probably should start at the top. Russian nesting eggs up top here. You see them better from the other side. When we get to the other side, we'll show that off. Hermit crab kit. I'm not sure if you can see the reflective glasses working or not. The hologram glasses. All right. So a lot of die cast. Yeah, the hermit crab. I'm going to work on redoing the cars. I definitely want to get a case I can just set each one in. What a typical Hot Wheels case collector does. So that Carrera Go I mentioned before, there's the slot cars for the Magneto and the Wolverine. So bigger than normal slot cars from the Tyco sets. Try to get a good shot of the planes there. These two NASCARs, they are unreleased prototypes. The Magneto and the Wolverine. This may be a stupid question, but do you keep any boxes once you break them open? I keep all packaging. If it's a item that I can put back in the box, I definitely keep it. So, for example, this car came in a really nice box. It's packed away. If I ever need to sell anything, I really understand the value of having the original packaging. Things like the cars, once you open the cars, I keep the card backing, but the blister plastic just gets thrown away because there's really not much you can do with it. Same with the action figures, or at least the old Toy Biz action figures. I kept the card backings and got rid of the plastic. But now with the way they package Marvel Legends in a box, you can just slip them in and out. So I do save all that packaging. And I've actually ran out of space that I've ended up blocking. Kind of my lower... Oh, I was telling about the Mazda car. I do have the X-Men car down in there from X-Men 2. But I've kind of ran out of space, so I just have some things blocking it right now. We've got a drone. We've got a flying Wolverine. I do have all the Mezco figures over here. I just haven't had time to open them all up yet. You're asking about all the play sets, so kind of, I guess I can move that here. All the dress-up play sets. And right here on the front, there's your boy Cyclops. There's your Cyclops helmet. Actually, there are 2 Cyclops helmets. There's also that one. You should have a YouTube where you do a show and tell each week. I probably should. I have done some YouTube walkthroughs. But yeah, I probably could do a little more in depth and talk about a few things. Lots of puzzles. Let's see here. Got one from Israel. Got a Secret Wars one from the UK. Lots of other puzzles. These puzzles right here, these are all from the UK. He wants to be buried in a Wolverine helmet. All right. Again, I have Mezco's. I just been putting them on the shelving on the floor. I haven't opened them up yet. But now we get into what we're going to see is there's a lot of layering going on here where we'll have taller items in the back, smaller items in the front. So we've got the Tactics. We've got some bootleg Wolverine figures that are modeled after Hot Toys. The Hot Toys ones are really expensive. I think I got these ones from China for like 20 bucks. The Nightcrawler and the Cyclops were never released. That was the second series. And the reason I have 2 Cyclops, one's on the black base, one's on the silver base. This is another version of Wolverine that wasn't released. And then here are the pre-painted prototypes of the Storm, Jean Grey, Nightcrawler, and Cyclops that was not released for the second series. And then we have some of the Egg Attack. Again, I just haven't had time to really open these up yet, so I've just been placing boxes in here. This room needs to get redone. I need more space out in the outer area we were at before. Going down. And I assume, Justin, you have that Cyclops there, the bear brick. And then there's 2 versions of the Cyclops, if you were not aware of the Secret Weapon Force. I believe the other box is, I want to say it has red packaging, but I don't remember for sure. I think it's a little more metallic. And the Cyclops is a different figure, if I remember. Who is an X-Men character that they have made 0 toys for that you wish they would? Or one particular character you want more toys of? So villains like Arcade and well, I do have a custom Arcade Marvel Legends size. Oh, you do have the bear brick. You know, when you look at some of the other minor characters like Maggot, Random, Marrow, like I said, Arcade. There's so many other characters they could make. All the Nasty Boys with Mr. Sinister's group. All of the Marauders back in the, you know, with Mr. Sinister create all those Marauders. So many of those characters they could make. Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. I think there was a Crimson Commando and Stonewall. They haven't made any figures of those. There's just so much they could do. Over in Asia, they make their bootleg X-Men. They call them Heroes Assemble. For me, I like getting them in the box. So I have those. There's the Wolverine. There's a Jean. There's a Magneto. Wolverine and Deadpool. Is it showing up right? There we go. Secret Wars. So I do have also the black clawed Wolverine. That's the gray claw there. Magneto, the Iceman, was exclusive to Europe. This little playset here, I don't remember the name of it. I do have the packaging, but it's kind of like a Lego. The pieces are so loose that if you try to move it, it will completely fall apart. So that's, when you're asking questions before about things that maybe are frustrating, that piece is frustrating. All right, got this Gambit from the UK. Oh, there's the Black Claw Wolverine. I forgot I had it out. It's in its case. There's the X Team you were referencing before. Some bootleg Wolverines. That one is licensed from Japan. There's actually, this was a game, and Wolverine was the only X-Men character. All the rest are Avengers. Some more bootleg items. Actually get a Cyclops there. And there's a Cyclops bootleg. And there you got a bootleg Batman and Wolverine Lego. And then there's another version of that bootleg. Of course, another version of Cyclops there. Then kind of fun to get some of these nano blocks. And again, when they come in the packaging, I really like that. I mean, I'll pay a few extra bucks just to get it shipped in the packaging because that makes it really unique. Alrighty, let me switch over here. And I don't think I showed the Sabretooth, the Wolverine, the Cyclops watch, and Magneto. Those are all from Italy. All right, and I did miss a section behind me. I will come back to it, show a little preview of Marvel Legends, the X-Force. I think this is really cool. They're coming out with these samurai characters, and can't wait to open up that Wolverine and get that out. That'd be really cool. These are Glyos figures. If you haven't heard of them, check them out. They made these homage to Wolverine, Silver Samurai, and a ninja. All right, keep going along here. And again, I have the amazing Yamaguchi figures I need to open up. And then, of course, I've got the Barbies, the Mystique, Storm, and Phoenix Barbies. Again, like I said, I'm out of space. All right, so something that I missed that I know Justin really wants to see are all the Funko Pops. I know he loves Funko Pops. So that's just for you. Let me swing around to the other side of them. Again, there's so many Funko Pops. Okay, enough of the Funko Pops. Everybody's seen those dime a dozen. We haven't really seen what's on the back wall here. So, we'll start at the top here. We've got X-Men Evolution figures. And we've got puzzles. There's actually two sizes of the same puzzle. There's a small and a large. You love him, Justin hates him. As I mentioned, these Kai Arts, these are really cool too, so I can't wait to open those up. Got some ideas on how I can make some more space in here, so I'll work on that. But again, as I mentioned before, you'll see layers. So we've got a bootleg Cyclops and a Wolverine and another Wolverine. And then we've got these little face-off figures. I think they were like in the dollar stores. And we've got some more bootleg Wolverines. Oh, there's my security camera. Gotcha. They were talking about the X Team. So there's the Cyclops, there's a Gambit, there's a Wolverine. Those are like 10-inch. And we have the Metacom figures. Now these are the ones that came out about 10 years ago. There's new ones, the Mafex Metacoms. There's a Wolverine and a Cyclops. I think the Cyclops just got released within the past month or so. Oh, and the reason I have two Cyclops here is I got the loose one first, and I ended up finding the one in the packaging later, so I had to buy it just for the packaging. All right, so now we've got some bootlegs. What's interesting is you'll see this one say Uncanny Super Warrior, Uncanny Master. These are the same figures, but they just changed the packaging because supposedly they got shut down. So I do have the full set of each of the two Wolverines, the Forge, the Magneto, Sinister, and Sabretooth. And then they did the same thing with X-Men and Super X. The Super X is out of Italy. I am missing one. It's Forge. I'm missing the Forge for the Super X. And now we get some crazy more bootlegs with like this Jean Grey from the Space Rider series. Oh, one thing I should show this Magneto. The reason I have a loose Magneto, his cape is red, and all the other Magnetos in the packaging have a black cape. So now I'm on the hunt to find a red cape that's in package. So if you find one, let me know. All right, we'll come here. Got some more bootlegs, give you some better shots. This one's from Russia, 6-armed Wolverine. I think they took a cue from Spider-Man. Unfortunately, that Cyclops arrived damaged, so I'm looking for a replacement. These are from Mexico. Apocalypse. Got your pink Apocalypse there. I've got two Omega Reds because they're actually painted different. You can actually tell that there's a silver belt versus a white belt. And you can tell that this has no paint here. The leg bands are painted. So sometimes finding those variants are kind of fun. I believe these X-Men, these were from Argentina, if I remember correctly, based on the movie. All right. Let's swing past here, and somebody asked about the Transformers before, so there's like the Wolverine ones, Morph, Sabretooth, Juggernaut, Apocalypse. This Wolverine is a playset by Bluebird Toys in the UK. Same as that Gambit that I showed before. And then that Wolverine is as well, and so is that Blackbird. Those are all from the UK. And we got some more bootleg Wolverines in the front here, with some dolls behind it, and there's a really tall Cyclops and Wolverine bootleg. They're just hollow plastic, really light. We get down here, we've got some more action figures. We've got the projectors. Got some talkback figures. Bootleg Logan and Apocalypse and Wolverine. And the cup holders. Superhero Squad packaging. Something that's really cool here. Let me move this. So this is a one-of-a-kind prototype, never released. I was actually looking for a different Wolverine remote control car that was shown on the back of an Iron Man remote control car. This is made by Silverlit. They're out of California. I contacted them. They did not have that Wolverine, but they said they had a new one. They took this to trade shows, and they received no orders. So they sold it to me, and it's actually right off the factory floor in France. So all of the copyright and information on the back is from France, does not have any American markings. Water Wars is coming. I might just have to go there just to make you happy. Those clear figures, I want to say they may light up. I can see if I can make that work. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I think that's all it does. All right. All right, let's come down here. Speaking of Water Wars, you know what? When you have something like a Sentinel, you got to get a lot of Sentinels. You just have to have a lot of Sentinels. So it's a little dark under there, but there's like 2 or 3 layers of Sentinels back there. Bootleg X-Men page. Okay, I will have to consider that. And where is that Storm? That's the Water War Storm. Oh, she's higher up. Okay, we'll get to her in a second. All right, so on this wall over here, we just came around a corner. And got a crazy Magneto and Professor X anime. Just got that, I don't know, a few months ago. Kind of weird. And we've got the famous covers, and we've got the small Marvel Universe figures layering in front here. I've got some really cool bootlegs over here called Robo Hero. Got Wolverine, Forge, a Cyclops, Beast, Iceman, and a Deadpool. Got more famous covers with the Marvel Universe figures. Oh, I guess there's a couple bootlegs back there. There's a Cyclops and a Wolverine. I need pics of those bootlegs. Okay. Oh, we were talking about this before. So here's a bootleg Cyclops. And we were talking about, let me switch this around, the crazy Power Ranger Wolverine in pink. And there's a Power Ranger in brown. And then that Cyclops again. So that Cyclops bootleg was made as that Space Police and as just an X-Men. So give me a moment to put these back so I don't step on them. All right. I got a bootleg Wolverine movie. All right. And then this was available in convenience stores. And I walked into a convenience store one day and they had just put it out. So I bought everything, of course. Magnets, keychains, stickers. There's like 12 of each. So All right. Mr. Sinister. They don't make enough of his toys. So, are we going to get a good light on this one? Okay, so this figure right here is one that was never released. It was made for X-Men Origins Wolverine. And the designer, his name is actually Logan. I won it from him on eBay. And he sent a little personal message when I won it and told him how cool it was. And I looked him up, and he is real, the designer. His name's Logan. But I knew about this, and I've been searching for it for almost 8 years by the time I got it. No, 10 years. I want to say it was 10 years. This Wolverine over here, this is another unreleased one. There's only 3 that I'm aware of that were made. Oh, you know what? I did miss showing a really cool bootleg. Give me a moment here. I have to move these again. You guys ever seen a robot Wolverine? There's a robot Wolverine. All right. I will leave that on the floor. I'll come back to it. Okay, so Toy Biz. Toy Biz, Toy Biz, Toy Biz. They started it all. So we've got a lot of Toy Biz to show. We've got the 10-inch figures behind. We've got the 5-inch figures. We've got some planes up top. I do have more of the vehicles on another shelf around the corner. There's, I believe, the Water Wars Storm, if I remember correctly. I like to try my best to put everybody in teams. So maybe what I should do is, you look at like the original Age of Apocalypse figures. And then we get into Generation X. And the X-Men 2099 figures. And we've got that Space Rider series. We'll come back to the Marvel Legends in a second. We've got all the villains over here. Sorry, my room's a little tight, so trying not to bump into anything. Got the original FAO Schwartz set of 4 figures. There wasn't really a decent Rogue, and the closest was this Age of Apocalypse looking one. I cannot remember for the life of me which series that was in. Oh, the Monster Armor series. X-Force. Getting some X-Factor. Got some vehicles up top. Got the giant size X-Men box set with the original X-Men. Got that 5-pack. Made my own little original X-Factor team. And if you remember the Mutant X series, they made just 4 figures for that. It's kind of grouping a Weapon X theme going on here, and of course the original face-off of Wolverine, Hulk, and Wendigo. All right, that is Toy Biz. I'm going to rebuy all the Cyclops 10-inch in the box eventually. Okay. And now all the rage, the Marvel Legends. So just kind of take that in. There's a lot of Marvel Legends that have come out, and they keep getting better with each series. So let's just come on in here. I was mentioning I did purchase an arcade. That was custom. Not too bad. Still would like to see Hasbro make something. Got the Kingpin body just to make sure I had Shadow King. We've got some X-Force action going on there. We've got some New Mutants. Getting in some X-Men, X-Factor. I like making the teams. And you got Deadpool kind of hanging back there. That's that Toys R Us 2-pack one that came with the Warpath. Remember that back in the day. Then we've got some. So I had the top shelf of villains, the next shelf of the team, and then this is where we get into kind of all the extras, the doubles, the duplicates, the multiples that they make of so many different characters. And still just trying to figure out what to do with some other characters that I don't have placement on. Really would like to see them come out with the rest of the Horsemen of Apocalypse. So, you know, I'm going to try something. The lighting back here is not the best. I've got a flashlight here, so give me just a moment. Let's see if I can make this work. There we go. Adjust this here. So I can shine some better light on it. Kind of everyone attacking Wolverine here. We've got everyone attacking Juggernaut. And the Colossus and Juggernaut 2-pack there. Again, just more Marvel Legends, just so many. Ended up getting 5 of the Stepford Cuckoos to make all the sisters. And getting ready for the Age of Apocalypse series. There's the original ones that came out back there. We've got an astonishing team. We've got X-Force. And then a shelf of Wolverines. Again, so much merchandising for Wolverine. Like a prison yard light. Yeah, I need to work on my lighting back here. It's a little darker. So now we're going to get into one of my favorite sections. It's kind of like the miniature section. Lots of small things. So we've got HeroClix. Lots and lots of HeroClix down here. And we're going to come up here to some Mini-Mates. I think they just announced a new series of Mini-Mates at New York Comic Con, if I remember. Yeah, I don't have all my HeroClix out either. There's a lot more that I just do not have room for. In front of the Mini-Mates here, we have these little, I'm not sure what you called it exactly, but they're from Japan. A lot of like the little vending machine. Get back down, you can look at all the HeroClix, all the Phoenix figures they made. Just crazy. Justin was mentioning this before. He's got to find the Cyclops ball. All right, give me just a moment here. Swing back up to this other side. Okay, these are Kubricks. They're from Japan. Got some metal figures. Then we have these little cereal figures. I got them from, I don't remember if it was from Argentina or Mexico. Then we have these little Secret Wars Yuppie figures. I just found one the other day that's a different Wolverine that I don't have, but they're really expensive. Then back there we have Crazy Bones. They make these in all different types of colors. So Justin, that's another one where, and they're only in Europe. So you find one and like there's a Cyclops. There's a clear Cyclops and a yellow Cyclops and a purple, dark purple, light purple Cyclops. Just trying to find all the different colors of those. The reason there's two of these Cyclops is they're actually painted a little bit different. The one on the right is more orange and the one on the left is more yellow. Could just be the way it was painted, but I had to have them both. And the Squinkies in front here, these little tiny Squinkies. At least those were easy to collect. There's I believe both of those Cyclops are from Mexico, the tall one and the short one. There's a Cyclops watch from Japan. Yeah, so many little things. I really like them. One thing I've not gone after is this set right here. They're from Japan, and they come in all different colors. They're really pricey, so I have the one set. I'm okay with that. Beggars can't be choosers. And there's those marbles back there, as I was telling you about before. So many different colors. The Cyclops keychains, you're talking about like that one right there. That is from Japan. And if you're talking about that one, those, I can't remember the name, I'd have to look it up, but they're pretty common. I believe they were sold here in America. The Marvel beans. And then I think those were called Handful of Heroes. They came with a solid, a clear, and a sparkle. So that's why there's 3. And then some of them came in different colors. And of course, there's tons of Wolverines. Yeah, let's touch base afterwards about the Cyclops figures. I think, okay, back to OK lighting here. We've got the Bendies. Over here, and here's a superhero squad. This is a prototype. I was supposed to come in a 2-pack with a really large Hulk. They made the Hulk, but the Wolverine was never made. And these were never released either, Hepzibah and Warpath, but there's tons of them available online from the factories. Here, I'll probably have to turn on a light. Here, these Storms are prototypes. One of them is from, it was supposed to be a new Fantastic 4-pack with Human Torch, Thing, Black Panther, and Storm. I don't think they ever released it. And then there was the White Queen. I'm not sure what they were doing with this one, but that was a prototype as well, kind of the Red Queen. And we've got more stuff. We've got the Showdown. Got some different superhero squad kid type of cars. And all right. Let's see if I can get that to work. There we go. So we've got these different guns and kind of like an investigator, kind of like a private eye type of stuff. Again, you slap X-Men on it, we've got merchandising. Got people like myself who will pay for it. It is endless. Even have a tent sleeping bag. Handcuffs, I know. Okay. Cat bomb, that's kind of funny. All right, I'm going to take a step back here We missed some stuff on the right. All right, and let's come back over here. You'll see magnets all around. Anywhere I've had a metal surface here on my shelving, I would put some magnets on. Just, again, try to use up as much space as possible. Got some mirrors I got from Japan. This Wolverine car from 1994, this is the Japanese version. It's blue and yellow. The American version, I'll slide over here. Of course, if you remember, is the brown version. Come back over here. Got some banks. And then the Knight models. All little metal models. And then some of them came in tins. And of course, let me... Hold on here. Sorry for the video adjustment. Got some bootleg, kind of like army men. Got some pinball machines. More balls. Some art supplies. Plushy dice. Gotta have plushy dice, right? And lots of stuffed animals. Stuffed dolls, excuse me. And we've got the... Turn the light back on here. Play sets. We've got the original Toy Biz play sets and the Danger Room. Weapon X Lab. There's your Water Wars playset. And even more balls. Yep. More stuffed dolls. Just a lot of stuffed dolls. A lot of these were like the crane games. And a lot of these dolls are just kind of piled on top of each other. Even have a golf club, Wolverine golf club cover. All right, and then Build-A-Bear. Got my Phoenix Build-A-Bear there. We've got more games. Let me go ahead and move this. Many of you remember the Creepy Crawler sets. I've never used them, but I've got those. More puzzles, more games. Got a Wolverine Snuggly. Tray. All right, we've got We're getting close to the end. There's the Russian nesting dolls I was mentioning before. And different types of tins here, lunch boxes, card tins. I still have that danger room. That's awesome. The Mondo pins. We've got a lot of the Scotty Young pins. You've got the lunchbox. All right. Yeah, all the plushies are different sizes. There's some of them they made 5 different sizes. Some they only made 3 different sizes. We're getting into the what I call kind of like my miscellaneous section, where there's lots of stuff. There's that Kitty Pryde koozie I was telling you all about, the best $5, because I was so excited to finally find it. Bot bags are back there. Oh, looks like I got to adjust the Wolverine mirror. It fell down. I've got these stamps. Ended up getting this whole set. You got like 6 of the same ones. Was that a, what was the frame Cyclops? Oh, it is. It's like a, I don't think, just a glass framed Cyclops. I believe it's one of those carnival type of items, if I remember when I got it way back in the day. And then we've got a lot of these little, just got a lot of little stuff here. All right, so I'm going to swing back around here. I'm sure we're getting close to our hour. Got a lot of gaming stuff up here. Put the flashlight down. And there's layers upon layers of different characters on some of these game cases. So these game cases, they made 2 different types of Wolverines. They made a Cyclops, a Rogue, Toad, and Sabretooth. And I have them all. They're just kind of layered there. One thing I don't think I showed you, Justin. Let me get this memory card here. There is a Cyclops memory card. All right. So we've got headphones. And mice, and we're getting into Wolverine and the X-Men merchandise. And again, there's kind of my miscellaneous section. I really need to redo this section. There's just a lot of little stuff. Belt buckles, flashlights, night lights. Key type of stuff. I can't ever pronounce it. It starts with a C. Carabanner, I think it's called. Not sure. Then we get into phone cases. Cyclops Yo-Yo. And tons of wallets. So many wallets are just kind of stacked on each other because I don't know what to do with them. Again, just a whole lot of miscellaneous stuff. Pogs, yep, I have Pogs. They are packed away in the binders. I have the Pogs that were released, like from the animated series, the Target Pogs. Yeah, I've the Hardee's Pogs. I've got them all. Got some pool, X-Men pool stuff. Yikes. So I bumped one of my shelves. Got video games. And then we've got Valentine's. Oh, you're welcome for the tour. Am I the only one having an anxiety attack? Then I've got skateboards on the ground with like dog collars, dog leashes. Oh, by the way, my dog's name is Aurora. She is named after Storm. She does have a Storm collar. Okay, so taking a step back. After all this, you're probably getting hungry, right? Well, we've got some food and drinks for you here. I'm writing down all the beast stuff I have never seen before. Well, we can connect and I can get you better shots of beast stuff, so reach out to me. All right, so we've give another moment for others to join back. A few minutes ago when I said, man, I knew an hour was going to come up. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, we'll connect on the beast. And if you're looking for Colossus stuff, we can connect as well, and I can take some pics for you of any of the Colossus items I have. Okay, we can get back here. So we've got giant-sized talking Wolverine Pez back there. And then a little smaller one. As you can tell, we've got the normal ones we're used to, that giant one and that mid-size one. Whole package of X-Men gummies back there. Oh, you're welcome. Papa John's Pizza Box. Believe it or not, when the movie came out and I called them, I said, I want to buy an empty box. They thought I was crazy, but they said, sure, I'll just give you a box. Interesting note, this chocolate from Wolverine, this chocolate Wolverine, 2003, got it from Canada. It's pretty much the same as I got it in 2003. It's a little oxidized, but it did arrive a little broken. It's lived through its survive through, I think, 3 or 4 moves. So pretty good that you can still make out some shapes of it. All right, so we've got some water bottles here. Some dishes back there. All right, we'll come back over to this side. We've got the tune tumblers. We've got lots of Wolverine glasses we'll start seeing here. And there's cups and glasses behind. You can't really see everything, but there's more behind. Again, just having to layer everything. Mugs. And just so many layers of mugs. I will probably have to just take them out one at a time and show some pictures of all these different cups and mugs that are just layered back here. Now we're getting some movie merchandise again. So I have 15% battery, so good thing we're close to the end here. Lots of candy. Yeah, those Pizza Hut cups, I believe those are the ones from the UK, if I remember. More chocolate bars. We've got more candy. And I believe there is a Cyclops of that jelly cream in there. I'll have to get you a close-up picture of that, Justin. Well, maybe on eBay after people see this and say, oh my gosh, I can sell it. I can make some money. There's this guy named Justin who'll buy it. Oh, you have the jelly candy. Okay. Got some Tang. The high C boxes. I don't have all the high C boxes that had all the character cards on the back. Oh, that one, there's a Pepsi can. And then this is a Hansen soda. I believe it's Thailand. Right. Let's see, what did I miss? Oh, got some more Wolverine glasses. And then we've got some plastic cups. There's a Cyclops cup you were drinking out of. 7-Eleven cup. More mugs. And then personal items. Shampoos and soaps and shaving cream and toothbrushes. Vitamins. All right. right, what else? That is that section. Coming around the corner here, we've got a boogie board. And the last thing is on the ceiling here, I've got ornaments. So again, trying to make the best use of the space. So again, this is pretty much the tour. I'll give you got the first aisle here when we walk in with all the movie and other collectible items like watches and such. We've got the back wall there. You saw the action figures and bootlegs. Got this aisle where we've got food premiums, we've got die cast, we've got bobbleheads. See the Toy Biz on the back. Coming down this aisle, we see the other side of the Toy Biz, the Marvel Legends at the end, all the miniatures. Got the plushies. I've got a whole bunch of miscellaneous items. With the cups and mugs and candy, pens. And then we'll just come back out here one last time. Hopefully I have enough battery power. Get you a nice shot of the statues here. And this isn't everything. I don't have room to display all my backpacks, hats, lunch boxes, school supplies, birthday party supplies, calendars, bedding, pillows. So that's all I have to show today. Like I said, for any of you that are interested in knowing more or seeing some up-close pics of some items, reach out to me. And happy to share, happy to do this again. Thank you very much for taking your time to be with us this evening.
Is this gonna work?
Holy shit, dude.
I know. That was a lot.
Holy shit.
Fucking crazy.
My head hurts so bad right now. Like, that was a lot to take in.
The worst part about it is, like, that's not even all of it. Like, he has like piles of boxes of all of the other stuff that you can't really display, like school supplies, beddings and shit. Like,
oh man.
It's just like when you think it's like, oh, this is probably it, and then nope, there's like 400 more items. It just keeps going. Crazy, man. Crazy.
Just all that miscellaneous stuff. Good lord. There's so much of it.
What's crazy is he had sent me a bunch of stuff like a month ago, like pictures and stuff I'd never seen, and I just saw stuff in there just now that he didn't show me last time that I didn't even know existed. So now I'm like, fuck, there's even more. Like the fucking Pepsi. What the fuck? Who's releasing Cyclops Pepsi? When? Why?
Right?
Why? So stupid. So crazy, man. Fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The patience to sit and go through all that. So like, shout out Eric for doing that. That's crazy. And now I'm gonna
thank you so much, man.
Tomorrow I'm gonna have to screen record a 4-hour fucking episode. It's gonna be so long. That's why I gotta cut this week. Like, I wanted to like hang out and shit, but it's like 7 o'clock. I need to I can't stare at my phone anymore. I gotta get out of here. I'm starving to death. I didn't think it was go that long, but I am super appreciative, and that was like super
I'm
cool.
glad it did. I'm actually really happy that it went that long and people hung out and really enjoyed that.
Oh, yeah.
So
I hope everybody takes it's gonna be up obviously there for 24 hours, and if anybody hopefully people will tap through it. And then obviously I'll try to get it up on YouTube on Monday after I get it all recorded tomorrow. I have to clear out my whole other phone to screen record it though, because it's going to be the world's largest video file. Gosh. But yeah, so I already sent him a thank you message, and then but like he said, like anybody, he was on the NERDICIDE account. He couldn't really sign in with ours, but anybody has any requests, hit him up. He's very friendly, and he'll send pictures of the stuff he has if you want to see what's what. If you're looking for certain things, he will tell you what's what.
Oh yeah.
But I'm about to get off here. Maybe we can reconvene some other time this week, maybe for an evening show or something.
I'm down for that.
Talk about other non-X-Men things, but I gotta get off here. I've been staring at my phone since 3:30. I gotta go. I can't be on this fucking thing anymore. It's too much. But it was fun, and yeah, like I said, I'll hit you up. We'll try to do maybe like a quick hour of this in the next few days to catch up on other shit. I'll watch The Lodge tonight, see how that goes.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
hit me up later after you watch it. We'll talk about it.
Since he toy collecting, I'm sure he was really enjoying that as well, seeing all the Beast things that he didn't know existed. Since he is a Beast only collector, I'm sure that was very traumatizing to see all the stuff that you didn't know was there, and now it's gonna keep you up at night.
Dude, all that Colossus stuff just made my heart hurt. I was like, I want that so bad.
Yeah, I want even like some of the stuff that's not Cyclops is like I would love to have some of that shit. It's just so crazy. Like I am on eBay all the time. I don't see any of that stuff, and none of that stuff pops up. So he's been buying stuff on eBay for years and years and years because that shit, most of that stuff just gets thrown in the trash. Like kids buy it and they throw it away. Gets trashed,
Right.
thrown in garbage. So like finding pristine items like that, while they may not have high market value, they are still very difficult to find.
Right.
So yeah, I'm gonna go get some dinner. This was really cool. Thanks again, Eric, for showing us the world's most insane X-Men collection.
It definitely broke my brain.
Yeah,
My brain is officially broken on that.
Shout out to the draft pod who hung out through pretty much all of it. So
yeah, thanks guys.
Kudos to you guys for hanging out. Best NERDICIDE ever. Okay. What about the episode where I got really drunk and ranted? What about that one?
That's still my favorite episode.
That's a good one.
I've never felt more uncomfortable.
Those are my favorite episodes. When one of us is too drunk. Yeah, so thanks DraftPod. Thanks everybody else who hung out. Yeah. It's been a wild day of X-Men. Until next time, we will see you guys when we see you. I'm gonna go. I gotta go. Get off here. Be away from my phone.
Right on.
All right, guys. Have a good night. Courtney, I love you. Catch you on the flip.
Love you too, buddy.
Peace out, everybody.